Welcome to episode 21 of the Battle Vault, a no dice, no glory podcast dedicated to the world of Battlefront's 15mm tactical gaming, including Flames of War, World War III Team Yankee, Great War, NAM, and Fate of the Nation. Today is the 5th of October, 2021. I am Ed, and I'm joined by my buddy Tom. So, Tom, what's going on this episode?
Hey, Ed. How you doing?
Doing great.
All right, well, I'm glad you could make this one. We are today going to go into our mentioned and dispatches. We'll talk about recent Flames of War and Team Yankee events, and good Lord, were there a lot of them. And specifically, we'll focus a little bit on Advance the Colors and GenCon. Then we'll go into our Heroes of the Hobby segment, where Chris Fretz, good old U.S. Chris, is going to join us for a review of the new Bulge U.S. book that's coming out next month. November apparently, so we got a chance to preview that, and we're going to have one of the best U.S. players in the U.S. help us break it down, tell us what's good or what's not. Then we're going to rules that Ed forgot or Tom butchered, as we like to do, and then we're going to talk upcoming events, including a focus on the U.S. Masters in 2021, and Joe Lewis is going to join us for that. So we'll have two outside guests on this podcast at two different times. So that's the plan. Does that sound good, Ed?
That sounds great.
All right, dude. So what you been up to lately?
Playing, man. Finally, yeah.
Yeah, you
I've
went
been
to
getting
Advance
some
the Colors.
games in.
Yeah. And we had another event locally before that, the Market Garden 77th anniversary Market Garden event, at which you sucked.
I know, that was terrible.
As did all the allies. Including me. The Germans just steamrolled everything, and us ally players. It was way worse than the real Market Garden. None of the allies won the first round. There was no link ups. It was a themed campaign event. It was a lot of fun, but it didn't go so well. All the talent was stacked on the German side, and the rest of us kind of floundered around. So, and unfortunately, that would have been helpful, because that could have helped get you up in Masters. You were like 24th overall for the end of the year. So. All you needed was one good win. 12-player event would have done it, but you kind of went the opposite direction. I didn't help mine either, but it was a tough, because we had river boards, and we had allies had to assault across rivers, and there was just we tried to really theme the campaign, theme the scenarios, and I guess in the end they weren't very balanced. So whoever put that thing together needs to do a little better work for next time.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, the tournament organizer on that one was out to lunch, so that plan needs a lot of revision. Maybe for Market Garden 78, we can get it better. So you've been painting some Japanese, and you've done some Japanese cards.
Yeah, I'm trying to get something put together so we can play some Japanese. I know you are really interested in doing that and playing U.S. Army in the Pacific. And I've got the Japanese stuff, so I finally wrapped that up. The cards are based on the early war, but we can easily convert. Well, most of the early war stuff was in mid-war and late war for the Japanese, so it's not going to be that much of a change.
No, and I think infantry through early war and mid-war and late war pretty much remains the same. I don't think they're so. It's just anti-tank guns, tanks, those kind of things change a bit. Artillery seems about the same cost through all of them too. Indirect artillery. Yep. So so we got to go. We'll take those cards. You got them in a PowerPoint slide format right now. I think I'll convert them into PDF, and I'll hang them on the No Dice No Glory forum. We have a player created content area, and we'll put them in there and let people make some comments and tell you how screwed up you are or how brilliant you are. We'll see.
Yeah.
They look good though. You did a good job with the
bring it on.
You did a good job with the graphics, and I just looked at the graphics and the format. I didn't really, is this too cheap or too expensive or whatever. We'll see what other people think, but we'll run some play tests and see how it goes. It'll be fun. So that's cool. And you painted some Team Yankee stuff recently, some West Germans. You got the Wiesels.
Yeah, I'm in the process right now. I've got some Fallschirmjägers. I'm painting up a Jaeger platoon. I've got two of the Martyr 2 spas, 2 platoons of those, and then I've got those little Spa Panzerwagen, and the I've got the Fallschirmjäger little weasel things. They're pretty cool. the toes in the 20 millimeter. So it's like they're on my desk right now. This week is really busy. I doubt I'll finish them, but I kind of wanted to get them going because we're going to play this weekend in a tournament, and we'll talk about that here shortly.
Yeah, it'd be good to see those on there. You can just get the base coat. They're mostly West German Bundeswehr reserve guys, so they don't need the 3-tone camo. You can kind of get or just get a base coat on them and bring them back later for the camo. I can see that
that's what I'm going to probably end up doing.
Yeah, well, sadly, I haven't really painted a damn thing. So I printed some vehicles, some unique half tracks, the Pack 40 half tracks, and some of the drillings and some of those things. I've been spending a lot of time editing files for 28 millimeter Napoleonics to print. So I'm trying to create command groups to go with my new Warlord Waterloo set, which came with no command. So rather than buying their metal command, I'm using 3D files, and I'm just trying to get them so they mesh better with the plastic figures. So that's been a challenge and a lot of fun, but it keeps me away from painting anything. So I need to get back on it. Well, I guess let's go ahead and roll into past events. And we had 19 Flames of War events and 5 Team Yankee events reported since our last broadcast. And these results are taken off of the Battle Rankings headquarters website that Joe Lewis runs. And so let's run down. You do the first one, and I'll follow through. And we don't have a whole lot of time. There's a bunch of them, so we're just going to kind of run the list with who won and where they're at. So why don't you pick up the first one there, Ed, and I'll hit the next one.
Okay. The first one we got here is the let me get the full size screen here. All right, and so, all right, it's doing a different display.
How about I
for me,
start? We'll go.
Yeah, you go ahead and start.
Yeah, Dreamers August Late War. That would be up in Minneapolis on the 7th of August. Obviously, a late war event given the title. 14 players, 3 rounds, and Keith Gilmore won it, running Germans.
Okay. In the second event, we had the Late War Fury played right here at Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and Tom Burgess won that game with the Germans.
Yeah, did you run that event? I can barely remember it.
You know what? No, let's see. No, I didn't run it. You did.
Oh yeah, I did. So yes.
You helped. Chad and I think you and Chad ran it.
Yeah. So that was cool. I can barely remember anything about it, man. It was like a whole year ago. All right, and then after that we had NashCon, which I did not think I'd be attending, and that was in Nashville, Tennessee, on the 20th of August. It was late war. Had 16 players for the late war event, and that was won by James Best, running British. And shouldn't there be 2 NashCon events? Wasn't there a mid-war event?
There were. There's a late war and a mid-war. You'll see it down 2 more spots there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And I got a chance to show up for that one. I think I came in 3rd or 4th, maybe 4th. Just go with the safe side.
Yeah, you did pretty good.
Because I didn't expect to be able to go, but I got down for the day. And you were there too. You remember how you did NashCon?
I was there for both of them, and I didn't do well in either.
All right, excellent. Consistency. All right, you get the next one, the really cool one.
Hey, the Flames of War on the USS Hornet tournament on the 21st of August. It was a late war event, and there were 20 players. Gosh, I wish I was close to it. I would have definitely done it. Kevin Morris won it with Finnish troops, so congratulations on that. Late war Finns. Amazing.
Finns can win a big event. All right, then we get NashCon, the mid-war event I was looking for on the 21st of August. 18 players for that one. That was even bigger than the mid-war event. And Bill Lewis won that one, playing Germans. Yeah. And I think he used the variation of that list that he lent me for one in the back that we played in July. So
that is
good
correct.
On Joe.
That is correct.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right. I think when mid-war was Saturday, that was the one I made. I missed late war on Sunday. Yeah, because I came down Saturday.
It was a Friday and Saturday.
Yes, I drove down Saturday and joined you. So I was this late war, the mid-war event on Saturday is the one I attended. So, anyways,
right.
Okay, you got the next one there.
We got Tank Aces, Aracourt, 21 August. Also, it was a late war event. 6 players. James Copeland won that with British.
Yeah, I'd like to see more details on that. I think that was some sort of really super small point level. The idea was just kind of have like tank on tank forces. May have been really, really like small points and just a handful of tanks. So kind of like a platoon level duel thing or something. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the plane tournament. I believe that was up in Delaware, that game store up there. That one was run by what's his name? Pete Zerfy, and he's always trying to do. So that was one where they all had free air, and they ended up having 10 players and 3 rounds, and Jim Best Jr. won it playing Soviets. So and the airplanes they got for free were generic, like just fighter bombers or bombs. So, all right, you got the next one there, Ed.
All right, so the next one is the longest day. On 4 September, it was a late war event, 16 players. 16 players, and it says 8 rounds. Is that a misprint?
Nope, that was the one that went 24 hours. The one they did out in California.
No kidding. It was the longest day.
Yeah.
All right, amazing. I'd like to hear it from them and how they survived actually doing it. Clive Hendrick was the winner in this, and he was playing British.
All right. Enfilade, also on the West Coast, up there in Seattle area on 4 September.
Yeah.
They had 18 players. Good showing up there with Alexander Grinberg playing his U.S. troops.
All right, really good. All right, now it looks like the next one here is it Meeple Madness rebooted?
Yep.
No kidding. I don't understand that one. All right, that was 11 September. It was a mid-war event, 10 players, 3 rounds. Alexei Yankovsky playing Soviets. No kidding there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Meeple Madness is a game store, I think, in the Atlanta area.
Okay.
And then Able Company. Yeah, we know Able Company up there in Indianapolis, and their GenCon events. They had multiple ones here. They had the GenCon Mid-War on 15 September with 18 players, and Joe Lewis winning that with Germans.
Wow. Good showing.
Yeah.
The next one we got on there is Let the Wookiee Win, 18 September, late war. And Christian Sorensen won with Canadians.
Yeah, cool. I think that was also out on the West Coast because I think that's where Christian is from. We've seen him before. He's come to
Yes.
Masters events at Hard Knocks Games, and we had him. And Tabletop Games and Hobby, that's up there in the Minneapolis area on the 18th September, a late war event. Only had 8 players, small event for them. And Ian Gall, it's Tom Gall's son, won that with Soviets. So congratulations, Ian. You got the next one there, Ed?
All right, next one's Able Company's, GenCon late war tournament, and it was 22 people, late war, and yes, Joe Lewis won that again with Germans.
Yeah, so he's tearing it up at GenCon. And then we go to BarageCon, which is up at Havre de Grace. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, but it's a place. I think it's in Delaware. It's a convention they do, and there was 2 events on the 24th and 25th. Mid-war on the 16th, won by Pete Zerfy, running Hungarians, and I think he was the tournament organizer for that one. And then the late war event on the 25th of September, 16 players again, won by James Copeland, running Romanians in late war. Yeah. Sorry, I did 2 of them. I just did them together.
That's all right. You're on a roll. BarageCon. I wonder if they named that for barrage balloons and anti-submarine balloons there that they used to run during World War II.
It's an ongoing convention. It's been going on for about at least 10 years.
Okay. All right. Next one was Huracan down there in Florida on the 25th of September, late war, 12 people. Alan Sheridan won that with Soviets.
Yeah. All right. Then Asgard, late war. Not sure where that is. Jacob Mayer won that one with out of 12 players, and he ran Finnish. So Finnish win a couple events this month. All right.
That's good to hear. I know 2 of them they didn't win at. The ones I was playing in. All right. The next one, last one there for Flames of War. Is that the last one? Yeah, it sure is. Last one for Flames of War is Dreamers September, mid-war event. On the 25th of September, 13 players, and Michael Cron Won that with Italians. Good job.
Yeah. All right, and now we transition into Team Yankee, which was an August attack on August 1st. Ryan Johnson won it. I'm not sure where this was at, but there was 8 players, and he won with Soviets.
All right, very good. The next one was GTA Yankee, and this was 20 August, also with the 8-person event, and it looks like the Dutch won.
Yeah,
that's good.
Chris Fretz.
That was Chris Fretz. Yeah, I see it now because my
got a little squished up. Sorry about that. And
it's
then
okay.
Gold Mine Games down in Texas, in I think the Houston area, on the 21st of August. They had 6 players, and Brian Coaches won that one with Israelis.
Yeah, very good. Very good. The next one, Team Yankee at
Fabricators Forge on 12 September, 14-player event, and John Meyer won that with West Germans. Good for him. Yeah, and that was out at Pittsburgh area. That's where that's at, somewhere on the outskirts of Pittsburgh. And then the last one we have to cover is Able Company's GenCon Team Yankee event, which was on the 17th, and that was for 14 players, and John Meyer won that again. So 14 players must be his magic number. When there's 14 players, he's going to win it. Well, that pretty much that pretty much covers the events except for GenCon with some more details. So we're going to let Chris. We'll take a quick break, and we'll bring in Chris to talk about some details there, and then we'll come back on the far side to talk about upcoming events. All right. Well, we're also fortunate today to be joined by Chris Fretz, who is one of the main organizers of the Able Company events that are run at GenCon. And so in addition to the AARs that Ed and I just went over, Chris is going to fill us in with a little more details of what happened on at GenCon this past weekend. So, hey, Chris, how you doing, man?
Doing okay. Recovered now from the weekend of 3 tournaments and all kinds of event games at GenCon. This was our 11th year at GenCon, 10th year running tournaments. So that's I think we were figuring out we're close to 36, 37 tournaments we've run at GenCon. Because some years we ran 4 tournaments when early war was still happening. We'd run early war, late war, mid war, and Team Yankee. So this year we had mid war on Thursday, Team Yankee on Friday, and then late war on Saturday. We kept it simple at 100 points apiece. And then on top of that, we run a intro game, which is a 2-on-2 Stalingrad, which if you go onto Facebook and look at the Able Company site or look on the Flames of War site, you can see some pictures of it, I think.
It was a beautiful table.
It's a beautiful board that the club made, and we put together all the forces, and it's a great way. We have 2 of our members work as GMs for it, and they take the players through. And then this year we also did on Friday, a couple of our members came up with a hypothetical invasion Malta scenario. So we had the Italian German invasion of Malta, paratroop and sea landing. They did some nice work on it. It was a 4 by 12 foot table, and they seemed to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, if I was able to make it, I'd be hard pressed on wanting to play those by playing in tournaments. I think I would be really up for either.
We actually did the Malta on Friday opposite the Team Yankee tournament, and we did have at least one player who was a dedicated Flames of War player who played in the tournaments Thursday and Saturday, and then also did the Malta on Friday since we were running Team Yankee.
No, that'd be cool. That'd have been very good. Yep. So how many miniatures were on the Malta table?
Oh, there were way too many. I think both sides had 6 or 7 platoons of infantry and a bunch of tank units, and they added in a bigger air. I think the Germans started with like 4 or 5 Stuka units. unit of 88s, and at least 1 or 2 Italian air units, as well as the gliders and the paratroop drops. And then the British had a little bit of sort of combat air patrol, as well as had Bofors all over the place. So that was a whole thing, just getting the troops onto the field. So yeah,
that'd be glorious.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah.
If I could ask, how large is that board that you're talking about? You're talking a lot of units here. How big was this board you're talking about?
It was 4 foot by 12 foot. So it was action packed.
Yeah.
Our Stalingrad board is 4 by 8.
Did they use some version of the Total War rules with all those, like multiple objectives, or do they just have special scenario objectives? Or
it was pretty much special scenario objectives. There was the German airborne forces had to capture the port to allow the Germans to land, and they were actually bringing some captured KV-1s and T-34s, which I had no idea were actually planned for an invasion of Malta. Those were some of the forces that were set aside for that. So in one game, they actually did get the German tanks onto the field, and the other one they did not.
I imagine once the tanks showed up, it was probably game over. The British probably didn't have a whole lot of AT stuff.
No, not a whole lot. But until the tanks got on, the Germans had problem because the British had a few Matildas and Crusaders, and that was and a few Stuarts, and that was enough to wreak havoc with the lightly armed paratroops.
Neat.
Yeah,
very cool. I'd like to see the Fallschirmjägers out there. Did they, especially with the glider models, and did they have any of those? Gotha, the big Gotha giant gliders?
There was a Gotha that landed. Yes, that brought on the sort of the paratroop heavy weapons, or the glider heavy weapons. Yeah.
I saw the Stalingrad pictures, but I didn't see any of the Malta games. So did they post it on Facebook too?
I'm not sure. I was playing that day, so I was not being as much of a documentarian as I was on the other days. And I don't know that they were the two TOs or the two GMs who were running it were pretty darn busy keeping, because it was a 4-on-4 game, keeping everybody going. So we may not have actually gotten a whole lot of documentation on it, which would be a shame.
Yeah, we did a big curse campaign. About 5 years ago now. We had like 12 players, a 6 by 12 foot board, and we wanted to write articles and do all this stuff, but the lighting was really rough because it had natural windows all the way around this kind of extension room, and it really played havoc on photography. So we tried to capture it, but they just weren't very good photos. So that they just kind of sat, and we never actually published an article or did anything with it. But it was really cool when clubs get together and do big events like that, and that'd be great to do for like Players for Tots, something other than a tournament. Just do a big multi Total War thing. I think that would be. We might have done that for Team Yankee here. They were just those dump your toys on the table and put. I'm not a big fan of those, but when it's a scripted themed tournament or scenario for a big battle, those are cool.
Yeah,
really
sure.
Well, speaking of tournaments, how did they go?
Tournaments went real well. The crowd was a little bit smaller on the Thursday and Friday tournaments, just because GenCon is in September now, because of it was delayed a month from its normal August time. So kids are back in school. It's harder to take time off, all of that stuff. So it was a little smaller. And then, of course, COVID, too. Really, just to begin with, GenCon cut. Normal attendance has been growing to getting close to 70,000 people for the weekend there. And I think this year they limited it to 40. I think it might be less than that. But it all went really well. They did have a full mask requirement for everybody. And there didn't seem to be any problem with that. I didn't see many noses the entire weekend, so that was good.
That's good.
And they took a number of other precautions with it, so it felt pretty good in that regard. But our mid-war tournament on Thursday, we had 18 people, and then for Team Yankee, we had 14, and then for the late war, we had 22. There were about 27 different individuals who played in the tournaments. So a number of people played in 2 or 3. And in fact, every year we do a special award, an Ironman award, for whoever gets the most victory points over the course of the weekend. So this year that was won by Tim McClellan from Pittsburgh.
Not surprising at all.
It was a tight fight between him, John Meyer, and Chris Jackson. They were pretty much neck and neck, and then Tim was able to pull it out.
Ah, very good.
Chris Jackson.
But it all got us good games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really, and those are respectable size events. I mean, 14, 18, 22. Then it's like it's disappointing. But that's not.
Yeah, we had 24 slots on each one, and this year it was nice. GenCon allowed us to spread out a little more, so every game was played on a 5 by 10 foot table, or 5 by 8 foot table. Excuse me. So there was plenty of room for you to put your forces up there, and you could walk around your tables. It wasn't a big long run of tables like you see at some of the larger conventions.
Yeah, and with that extra foot on the width, or I should say the depth, perhaps you have about 6 inches for cards and stuff. That's useful for pretty much your unit cards. Yeah.
It was
for our old
nice.
guys, that's another 6 inches of leaning across the table.
Yes. Yeah, and the one thing unfortunate there is it is on concrete floors, so it does get a little wearing, especially if you're there for 3 days. We were at the stadium this time. No, the past 2 years we've been in Lucas Oil Stadium on the field. They put a floor covering over the field, but at field level. But this year, unfortunately, there's a game on Sunday, so we could. And it was a smaller convention, so they didn't need the space. But the past 2 years we were on the field. That was cool. That was really nice.
With the COVID,
well
like that.
Lit. Yeah.
It would just having that big open space, big volume would make me a little bit more comfortable COVID-wise. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, and we were in the big convention hall spaces in the convention center, so there was lots of free air around. It was not like you were in a hotel ballroom kind of thing.
Yeah, not like NashCon, right? We're crammed into little rooms.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
I was like, I was just walking around NashCon like, hey, this is like a mass spreader event here.
Yeah.
I was just a little unnerved, but then after being there for a bit, I'm like, well, I don't know. I think whatever potential I probably could get, I probably already got by now. Well, it's good. Well, let's hear about if you could. We probably don't have time for all 3 events to go through all top 3, but if you could let us know the top 3 players, and maybe we can cover just a general idea of a list for the number 2 and number 3, and maybe a little more specifics on number 1.
Yeah, sure. So this tournament on Thursday, our first place was Lewis, and he was running German armored car and Italian tank lists. Sort of the same thing he was running at NashCon when he was there before. So that was a mixture of tons of 221, 222 scout cars, a unit of armored Panzer Grenadiers as part of the formation, and then he had a company of 13 Italian tanks, 3 platoons and headquarters, the M1441s, and then of course West's, Ferdinands, and Martyrs, a Ferdinand and Martyrs. So it's a really tough list to deal with because you've got the Ferdinand and the Martyrs, backing up the fire, doing overwatch. All the other stuff comes running forward, and it's got a lot of shots. It's got a lot of mobility. And being that armored car company, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 7 platoons in it, so it's hard to break.
Right.
I played him at NashCon, and it's a tough list.
I borrowed that list similar to this when he was down at one of the events that we had in I think it was July, or maybe even June, and although he had the Lukes in there. And I guess he dropped the Lukes and added the Italian tanks, but I think that's a good call.
Yeah. And then Tim McClellan was all. It was actually all 3 were Germans, top 3. Fourth place was Chris Jackson running Soviets. But the second place was Tim McClellan. He was running the Reconnaissance Company Command card. So it was the Panzer Grenadier platoons in their half tracks, Books, armored mortars, the 7.5 guns, and of course a Ferdinand and Martyrs. Then he had a 5-centimeter tank hunter platoon. So you know, infantry backed up by all that stuff in Overwatch was you know, pretty much similar for that.
Good combo.
And then third place was John Meyer, who was running the Armored Car Company, slightly smaller than Joe's, and he had a mixture of Italian tanks, a mixture of 1441s and Semiventes, and then of course the Ferdinand and the Martyrs on top of that. So they were all three very similar lists, and all three, they're very tough lists to deal with in war. You know, following that, we had Chris with an Infantry Lee Battalion, and then Charlie Clay with an Africa Rifle. Then we had a couple of U.S. tank units after that. So that was mid-war.
And you ran that event?
I ran that event. Yep, that was the one I ran. That's one of the great things about us and doing Gen Con with myself, Andrew Hobson, and Joe Lewis. All three of us like to run tournaments. We can split it up, so we each only have to run one tournament. I do all the overall event organizing for the weekend, but then I just have to run one. I get to play in two, and in most cases, we all get to play in two tournaments. And this year, Andrew only was able to play in one because of his teaching schedule. But for Team Yankee, again, we had some familiar names here. First place was John Meyer, who was third place on Thursday in mid-war, and he was running a West German Leo 1 and Fallschirmjäger company, and that was supported by an allied FV-432 British infantry formation. So he had lots of infantry. He had the British had the two platoons with the Milans, with the mobile Milans, with the mortars. His Fallschirmjägers had two Fallschirmjäger platoons, the Weasel Toes and the Weasel 20 millimeters. He had a scout troop of Mark IIs, and then in his Leopard company he had 10 Leopard 1s, 4 Gepards, and 3 Red Eyes.
Wow.
So
three formations.
He likes. Yeah, and he likes to run a lot of infantry, and then he had the lighter armor to back it up. Then second place was Tim McClellan. Again, second place, 2 days in a row, and again, our Ironman winner. He was running a Marine Rifle Company, U.S. Marine Rifle Company. So he had 3 Marine Rifle platoons, an M60 platoon, an LAV platoon, and then a bunch of support, being some of the RDF tanks, a 109 battery, VADs, some more, I think these were Army patents as opposed to Marine patents, and a couple of tow units. And then third place was Andrew Hobson, and he was running his British 42 mechanized company, supported by Dutch Leo 1s, which he's been running for a while. So a full mechanized company, and then Leo 1s and PRTLs and a reconnaissance unit, and marksmen and rapiers, 109 battery. So a pretty full featured force. Then after that was Chris Jackson running a Soviet BMP motor rifle, and then Charlie Clay and I tied. Charlie Clay was running an Iraqi T-72 battalion, and I was running my Dutch Leo 1 armored rifle combo.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch Charlie on Facebook. He like you, you two guys do a great little intro to each game, how things went. So it's always fun to watch when you can't be there to check in and see things are going. So I appreciate you guys doing that. It's nice to live vicariously through your exploits.
Yeah. No, the other nice thing that happened in all these tournaments is we had a number of first-time tournament players, and we had a number of new to us players. So we had a good percentage this time, which was really nice. A bunch of guys from Chicago, some others from around the area, couple from Portland, Oregon, actually. So
Wow.
that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a new player at our event. He came up from Clarksville, and so he's down there, near Fort Campbell. Nice young guy. He was really excited. He and Ed played in the last round, and you would have thought that they were, frat boys at a beer party. They were just hooting and hollering, having a good time. So.
Yeah, he was having a good time whooping my tail.
Yeah. So then Saturday we had the late war tournament, and that was won by Joe Lewis. He was running the British version of the armored car spam. So he was running the Daimler armored car troops with universal carriers and the 3-inch mortars, and then he also had the 4.2-inch mortars. He had a Free French unit, and then he had 2 Crocodiles, 4 M10s, 3 Churchills, and then an Allied 4 US 76s.
Wow.
So he had that. Our second place was Chris Jackson. Actually, Chris Jackson and I tied for second, and he won out on tiebreakers. And he was running, much like mid-war, he was running an M3 tank battalion. So he had a big pile of yes, it was.
Had to bring one set of models, right?
They were very similar. So so he was running the M3s and also some Stuart. We had 8 M3 Lees, 14 M3 Stewarts, the Hero SMGs, the mortars, Sturmies, 122 millimeter battery, the ZSU M17 anti-aircraft, and then the Panthers, of course. So, and he and I played a game, second round, and we fought to a bloody, very, very challenging 3-3 draw. And then I was in third place, running an American Rifle Company. I was using the 4th Division Ivy card, which means the priests were a formation unit. But I had 2 rifle platoons and 6 81s, and then a platoon of Sherman 75s, a platoon of Sherman 76s, a platoon of M10s, and then I also had an FFI platoon and the Desert Veterans car. Oh, and the chemical mortars. So I had a lot of templates, which really I used a lot of smoke with a rifle company, just to cover my advance forward. Yeah,
and all trained too, right? All your units all aggressive, all hit on 3s, I should say.
Oh yes, that's my always. I don't like running veterans myself. I'd rather run the trained troops and get more of them. So.
Yeah.
Well, especially with US, because of the stabilizers and being able to whip around a corner and unleash. The trained troops do that as well as the veterans. So.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm good. Congratulations to you, and congratulations to Able Company. I mean, 11 years. Is that? I guess that'd take us out to about 2010. So I was trying to think of how many times we've run Wolf Crate, but
about 2009. Yeah, because 2008, Mike McMahon, for those of you who might remember him, still around here in Indianapolis. He ran an Ironman tournament and a regular tournament at GenCon 2008. We then started running in 2009, running the Stalingrad game only, and then we got ability. We got enough rep with GenCon that we could start taking more table space and running tournaments. And so we've been running since 2010, and we missed last year because there wasn't one. So
I got to get up there. I keep kicking it off every year. It's on a wife's weekend. My wife's birthday weekend is normally when it is in August, and this wasn't a good year timing wise either with some other stuff. But it just kills me because it seems such a great venue and such a great, and of course you're always just. I mean, it would be kind of like, hey, get the game with Able Company for 3 days. That's awesome. I always enjoy our little midday trip.
It's a lot of fun. I'm happy that it's not cheap, that's for sure. Between the passes and hotel and all of that stuff if you're traveling. But I mean, I count myself so lucky that one, I can run events, which means I get a GM badge. I work downtown, so I have a parking place. and I get to sleep in my bed every night. So I'm very lucky in that regard. And through running our events, we get about 13, 14 GM badges. So most of our members are able to come if they want to play in tournaments for just the cost of the tournament, because they get GM badges as well.
That's nice. That's a good deal. Yeah. So did you get a chance to see anything else outside of Flames of War? Any vendors or anything noteworthy that you want to you think people would be interested in?
Not really. I mean, the one thing about Gen Con is it is not a convention for historical miniatures. If you want to go to a convention for historical miniatures, go to Historicon, that's for sure, or any of the HMGS events. So it really is about the rest of the gaming world. So lots of new games being introduced. Gale Force 9, which is part of Battlefront. I'm not sure which one owns which, but Gale Force 9 comes and brings a booth. But the only thing they bring is World of Tanks. Because they're bringing all their Doctor Who and Firefly and Spartacus and all of those, because those sell like hotcakes there, and that's what the market is for, and for RPGs and that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, there's not a whole lot for the historical gamer there, other than us. I mean, there's a big Axis and Allies usually. Usually there's Bolt Action, but I don't think they had it this year. A number of groups that normally run things like that did not come this year, so it was a little bit smaller on that. But we always try and put in a good showing, and then of course we've got several stores here in town that have a really good Flames stock. So a number of our players would go out to the game stores to look around as well and do their shopping.
Very cool. Well, Chris, we appreciate the rundown. Sounds like a great success, and congratulations to the Able Company and to all the top finishers. And we really appreciate it, and hopefully we can partake of that next year. I'm gonna just have to put higher priority on getting out there. Yeah, we just got to do that.
If anyone wants to see photos and the full list of who played and what they played, that if you go onto either the Flames of War or the Team Yankee Facebook pages, you'll find posts by me or by Able Company that have all those details. So feel free to take a look there if you want more information.
Some research, yeah.
Little pitch for Able Company there.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and take a break now. And for folks out there in radio listening land, don't be disappointed. Chris is going to rejoin us as we do a deep dive into the U.S. Bulge book. And who better to help us dissect the new goodness there than U.S. Chris, right?
Yeah.
So we'll take a break and see you in a few.
When it comes to paint, tools, and hobby supplies, Hard Knocks Games offers quantity and quality. We carry hundreds of hard-to-find products from brands like Ammo of MiG, Mr. Hobby, and AK Interactive. Come shop our massive selection of games, model kits, and more at 5571 North Dixie Highway, or find us online at hardknocksgames.com.
Everybody, welcome back. Now it's the time for the main event, the No Dice, No Glory Battle Vault podcast deep dive into U.S. Bulge. And we're fortunate that Chris Fretz is going to be able to spend a little more time for us, and he's going to specifically cover what he plays the most of, at least what he mostly kicks my butt with, which is his U.S. Infantry, primarily the armored rifle types, but he's going to talk about some other types too. So, Chris, are you excited about the armored rifles and U.S. Bulge?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff I'm seeing. I've had a chance to look a little bit through the book, and I think the battle-weary armored rifles, which gives you that reluctant status, but rallying on a 4. But they're now hit on 4s instead of hit on 3s, and they have a tactics rating of a 3 up. Is interesting. There's also with the armored rifle, you can now take them without their half tracks, which also gets you a little discount. Otherwise, basically the formations are exactly the same. I don't see that there's any major difference in the structure of the units, both the rifle company and the armored rifle company. they're typically what you can expect, and you have the same sort of mixture of 50s and 30s on the half tracks. And then for support, you've got the machine guns and the armored anti-tank and the armored mortars. I mean, all of those are still around. So it gives you sort of the same options that you've had in the past. I'm just looking through them right now.
But the price, though, is basically the same, isn't it? I mean, it's a slight difference, but not significant.
It's actually, yeah, you're paying for a regular armored rifle platoon now, full armored rifle platoon with the full complement of half tracks, you're now paying 16 points instead of in D-Day you're paying 15 points. But that 1 point extra is basically changing your motivation to reluctant, but changing your hit-on number to careful, to a 4-up. So
yeah, more worth it, I think.
You got the upside and the downside.
Yeah, I think I could live with it, especially if I had some hero that helped with rerolls or something with the rally. But the reluctant 5, I don't care. You get two stands. Time for them to go home. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and you still have the 4-up rally, so you probably are going to, you got a better chance that you're going to rally. Of course, that reluctant is going to be a problem for you in counterattack. When you go in for an assault. So that'll be a little bit of a challenging. I'm not sure. I don't think I remember seeing a warrior that affects that. And there are a couple of actually French ARPs cards that do modify both your hit-on number, your assault number, and your motivation that are interesting. Particularly the Zouaves armored rifle platoon, which is, I think it's a +1 point per unit, and that gets you confident over reluctant. It does mean that you're, again, hit on 3-up, which it doesn't bother me. I'm used to running confident trained troops. But you also get the assault hit on a 3. So that's an interesting variation you can do. So I think that's, that's an interesting bit. Then as you look at the rifle platoons, much like the D-Day book, that's where you've got a lot of cards that can affect you. And there's some interesting cards in there. Same basic thing. The interesting thing is on the rifle platoon, a full rifle platoon, the 10 stands plus the 1 bazooka, has gone up 1 point from 8 to 9 points to get that reluctant motivation and hit on a 4-up. But for the smaller unit, there's no change in points. So it's still the same 6 points as it is in the D-Day book. So I guess just as the granularity of the game with the 100-point scale just can't really reflect that difference. But that is sort of an interesting note. But then I think go ahead.
Were the upgrades going to be the same point? The bazookas and machine guns and all those add-ons you can put into a rifle platoon?
That's all the add-on a point. Yep. And you have the same. You can add a second bazooka. You can add 2 LMGs. You can add an HMG. So that's all pretty much the same. But then I think the interesting thing for me actually is in those cards. You have much like in the D-Day book, you have the 2nd Infantry cards where for 2 points for a rifle platoon or 1 point for another any of the other units in the formation, you can upgrade and go from reluctant to confident. So you can have a confident hit on 4-up rifle platoon, basically a full one for 11 points, which is kind of an interesting thing. Plus, you also have the 2nd Infantry the ability to upgrade platoons to SMGs, and that's 2 points per battle-weary rifle platoon. So, and that gets you SMGs, and it also gives you something I like again with those troops is that 3-up in assault. It goes from the 4-up to the 3-up in assault. So they really going in there with the SMGs and the 3-up for assault makes them a pretty nice assaulting force. And I think much like the D-Day, you don't have to upgrade everybody to then so you can have a regular rifle platoon as one of your compulsories, and then the other one can be the SMG unit. Then there are a couple other. There's the 99th Infantry Division, which actually references the rifle company in the D-Day book, and that has a better counterattack and a better last stand than the D-Day book. I think again for a point or so per unit. You have the 106th, the Golden Lions. Both the 99th and 106th were big factors in the German attack in the Battle of the Bulge. They were the divisions that the Germans had to get through. And for the 106th, you actually get a discounted a discount on the battle weary even further. You make them trained and hit on 3, and that's possibly going to be like the Greyhound units, ways to get a bunch of infantry and save some points and get some other stuff.
And it's the first time we've seen. This is the first time we've seen where there's different point levels too. They have the like for the headquarters, it's -1 points what you save, but then if you got a full rifle platoon, you save 2 points, because I think the Greyhound is just 1 point no matter what size it is. So these guys can go a little bit deeper into the discounts by taking the fuller units.
Yeah. And then again, the French are really interesting. There are 2 French infantry rifle companies. There's the 9th Colonials, which for 2 points per rifle platoon, as we were just talking about, and 1 for the other units, your battle weary rifle platoon goes to Fearless and hits on a 3-up. So again, for 11 points for a rifle platoon, you get 10 Fearless rifles and a bazooka that hit an assault on a 3-up, and that certainly, and they are still, I don't think it changes your 2-hit number. If it isn't them, there's also a Foreign Legion rifle company, which is 3 points per rifle. I know that one definitely. You are Fearless. You still hit on 4-up. You have a last stand of 3, and you hit on 3 in assault. So, those are some, I think, really interesting choices. Also, command cards for the rifles. Again, you have the chemical mortar option. That's still the same at 6 points. If you're a rifle company, you can add those in, and that gives your infantry a little more punch than the 81 mortars as a choice. And you have the 4th Division Ivy card, same as D-Day, where you can make 1 or 2 batteries of priests part of your formation, replacing the cannon platoon. So that's another option, just to bulk out your formation a little bit. I think those are the big things on the armored rifle and the rifle. And there's a card for upgrading your 57mm anti-tank gun to have HE now, and that's just 1 point for the platoon. So I can see that coming very useful. They still stay at the AT-10 for firepower, but get the HE so you can deal with infantry.
Yeah, and then they added the nest, right? Which could go with your rifle units. Go ahead and cover those.
There's the outpost guns and outpost nests, I think they're called, which are like the German pack front, basically. They become independent teams. Is that right? I don't have that card in front of me right now.
I think they're it's cheaper than the pack front card, but you won't have turntable guns going into them. And I think it was for the 57s, and I wasn't sure about the bigger 76mm guns.
I think here it is. It's for the 57 or the 3-inch. Yes, yes.
Yep.
Gun teams and units cannot move. You can rotate based on the target through shooting and our nests. Each gun is a separate independent team. So you've got that. Plus you've got outpost machine guns. Same thing. You can create independent machine gun nests to do that. Yeah, the anti-tank guns are 4 points to make the units into nests, and the machine guns or LMG are 2 points to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I think the gun nests are slightly cheaper than the German ones. I think that the Germans are paying 6 points for them. So, but again, they can't put.
I think it's also the case that I think they're pulled from your rifle platoons, your rifle, or I guess the armored rifle, since there is no, because they also mention LMGs as well as HMGs. So I'm not quite sure how that works. Because it just says it's a U.S. build unit and infantry. It doesn't say specifically. It only works with the U.S. HMG platoon. So, and it talks about those teams in particular. So I guess it just pulls them out of those units and turns them into independent teams, which I mean could be interesting.
Yep, you wouldn't even have to buy a separate unit. They're already in there, right? You just X them out. No, pretty cool. Anything else noteworthy from the infantry formations?
I don't think so. I mean, I think there's some interesting stuff. You know, as I say, I really myself prefer confident trained units. So these confident trained card options that get you a better hit and assault are very attractive to me. I've never been big myself for the reluctant, just because, again, I'm concerned about my ability to counterattack with them. And I don't think there's I didn't see any warrior cards that really did anything for that. Because they're mostly the airborne, and then there's Ollie Murphy, who is just sort of a team, you know, is a better hit and assault kind of thing himself. And there's the Patton, which I don't.
Yeah, they do have Patton as an option, and but he just re-rolls a reserve dice and lets units do a second move order. So that really helpful. For that's more of a tank thing. But that might help. Now, it won't help with the tank destroyers because they have a second move order already, with seek and destroy.
Right. Right.
And that's probably a good point to segue, because you're also.
Yes, I was going to talk about the tank destroyers. Here's one thing that might be easy to miss because it's the very front of the book and nobody looks in the first part of the book when they get their new book. Is there is a new battle tank rule for tank destroyers. In the tank destroyer section, there is a new rule there because now have the Hellcats, which are I think a 2 armor still. I don't think that's
2 armor, yeah.
Yeah, so they would float underneath the deep reserves rule. So in theory, if you didn't have battle tanks rule, you would be able to take as many Hellcats as you want, plus an armor value greater than 4. So much like the little tanks for the Russians and
the Romanians.
The Romanians, I think, also have this. There is a battle tank rule that the Hellcats count toward deep reserves. So that's something to just keep an eye out for. Other than that, you know, in this book you have both the M18 Hellcats and then you have the M36 Jackson platoon. There isn't just a only M10 choice in this book. You would have to go back to the D-Day book. But in the M36, you have one compulsory Jackson unit, and then your other units in the formation could be M10s. And there is indeed a veteran M10 platoon in here. There's just not an all-veteran M10 formation. So the Hellcats are certainly interesting. basically they're about the same points as the M10s right now, but you've got less armor, but you've got another 2 inches of movement, a 12-inch tactical move, which I think will be big. That will just give you a little more mobility to get around the flanks. And they are in the book. They are veteran and hit on 4s. Now with the command cards for the Hellcats, there is I think it's called Fresh M10 platoon or Fresh M10 formation, which you can, for a -1 point, move them to be trained, which could be interesting. I'm sorry, that's -1 point per tank. So in a 4-tank platoon, you're getting a 4-tank discount. So you're getting them for 12 or 13 points instead of 16 or 17.
Right.
Now you're trained. You're still hit on 4, if I remember right.
The M18s, yeah.
Even the fresh from the factory M18s.
Yeah, M18s. M18s are hit on 4s.
Even the fresh from the factory ones.
That was talk about the command card.
Yeah, there's no change. Yeah, there is no change in their hit-on number. It is only dropping from the veteran status to the trained status, and yes, that is a -1 per tank. Wait.
No, it's
per
1 per unit.
Sorry, it's per unit.
Yeah, okay. I'm about to say that's too good to be true.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry about that.
We'd all be running those.
Yeah. Now, with all of the tank destroyers, you do have the option now to go to the better ammunition. So you can get the AT-13. And that, again, is an interesting thing. It is, generally speaking, it is 1 point for every 2 teams in the platoon. So basically half a point per tank. But it does appear like it is all or nothing. You can't just upgrade half the tanks. The wording says that you have to, it's for all tanks, but the cost-wise is, 1 point for every 2 teams. So, I mean, a reasonable increase there. You can also get the upgraded armor for the Jacksons to the M36B1s.
That's when they pop the turret on a Sherman hull.
Yeah.
That
gets you a 7. Yeah, that gets you a 730 armor, and that is 2 points per tank. So I don't know if that's really worth it or not. To go from a 5 to a 7 for 2 points per tank, and a 3 to a 2, or a 2 to a 3. You should probably just play them better.
We see a lot of the armored car meta, all the Daimlers, and for that may be where it comes in handy. It's just
could be
have a little bit more resiliency to those guys, but
and you can also do the. Go ahead.
No, I had a bunch of extra Jackson turrets because I built my tank destroyers as British Wolverines. And so I went ahead and painted them up and put the magnets on the bottom so I can swap them out with my plastic Sherman hulls. So I can I can go ahead and put some of those out there. I just I might as well paint them, put them off to the side. so I'm ready to run those if I so choose.
Yeah. And you also have a card to do the improvised top armor on the Jacksons and the M10s. For 1 point per tank, you can get a top armor 1, which that could be worth it in some circumstances. I mean, it's always that, those Wesps bombarding you with the AT-3 hitting your 0 top armor. Being able to be top armor 1 is certainly of value. And no change in the security sections or any of that. It's still both of the tank formations are headquarters, up to 3 security sections, and up to 3 platoons of tank destroyers. So nothing new
that's
added
where
to
your
those formations.
That's where your fresh M18s is going to help you, because if you look at the it's an M18 destroyer company that gets it, but it's minus 1 point per unit. So that means you save a point off the headquarters and a point off security sections. So you could really put some more of those in, and then to get the cost of your force down, good 5 or 6 points. Because you would think by the title of the card it's just the tank destroyers, but it's per unit in the formation.
It's a company card and a formation card. So yes, it would count that. So yeah, you would potentially, by doing that, you would shave up to 7 points if you took a full unit of headquarters and security sections and platoons. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's about all. I unfortunately have not had a chance to really dive into looking at what you and Ed are going to be covering in terms of the tanks and all of that, but they certainly look interesting, and certainly there are a lot of choices in this book. That's for sure, and a lot of variations. Anybody who has missed practically anything in the late war Americans, it's here now. You can find it, you can create it, and you can go even further than that.
Yeah, that's what I really like about the cards here with the Americans, because especially with the tank upgrades for the later in the war, they even tell you the date. After January, they use this other particular thing. So if you're playing just the Bulge campaign or a Bulge themed tournament, you can't use that late war card in it because it wasn't specific for that time period. So yeah, I like that a lot. You can even the M26s, they get the potential upgrade for the Super Pershing, in March. There you go. So here you are. Maybe if you're playing the Crossing of the Rhine March and April themed tournament, the war is ending, or whatever you want to name the tournament. You can make it special for the types of vehicles that they had at that time. And I really like the feature they came with this book and the cards and everything. It's really good.
Yeah.
So Chris, if I can summarize, you like some of the options. You're probably not going to change your force dramatically, because you're still going to go with the confident hit on 3+ kind of guys, confident aggressive, I guess would be the term we want to use. But some of those upgrades that bring in some of the submachine guns or some of the more assaulty troops or some of the things that you're really looking forward to in the new book.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary. I mean, I think the armored rifles are, as always, solid. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in the various infantry formations, and there's just a lot to dive down into. So I'm excited to start playing from this book, and I think it'll be really good.
Very good. Well, I'm super pumped, and I'm going to cover the tanks. Ed already kind of mentioned there's a ton of options in there. Yeah, so we're going up. Yeah, no, it's fine. No, it's yeah. I think I have a lot of U.S. stuff. Haven't played it a lot lately in late war, but I'm certainly really looking forward to getting out some of these things, because I have a lot of the stuff that I built for version 3, just before version 3 went out of style. And so I've never been able to play my Easy 8s and only use my jumbos once or twice. And now they have even other options that I didn't even have back then that I'm looking forward to running. And so I'll cover the tank companies, and we get 4 types. We get the maybe even 6 types. We get the M4 Lates veteran. We get the M4 Lates normal, not veteran. You get the M24 Chaffies veteran, and then you get the M5s, and then you also, in the cards, you can get a couple other formations. You can get a cavalry Chaffee or cavalry Stewart company, and that's basically it's got a mix of the light tank platoons and the reconnaissance platoons, the M8 Greyhounds and such. So those are some kind of interesting. So there's a couple different options in here for us, and the tanks are more expensive. For a late, you go up. It was 13 points for in V-Day for 3 M4 Shermans, and now it's a bit more. They went up like a point for the regular, the non-veteran ones. And then the veteran guys, they go for 15 points for 3 tanks, so they're 5 points apiece. So they were under 4 1/3 points under D-Day for a standard Sherman, and now they're 5 points a shot, per tank. But now they're hit on 3s or 4s, the veteran ones at that point level. The armor goes up to a 7, which is, not huge against the big guns, but pretty significant against all the medium stuff. I mean, that's the Stugs are so much more survivable than the Panzer IVs, and that's because that difference between the, the 6 and the 7 there. And their morale's still decent. They didn't take a hit like the infantry did, where, as far as going reluctant. And the base, they're still confident, and they generally have 3+ remount for the protected ammo. They still have the Yankee ingenuity for tactics of a 3+, although they're only still trained for calling in fire and assaulting and so on. So pretty awesome, I think. And what Ed was alluding to earlier, the options to upgrade them. You can bring them up to jumbos. You can bring them up to Easy 8s, and you can also bring them up to 76 Shermans. And those aren't too expensive. Like going from the baseline tank is only another +2 points to go to an Easy 8. +1 point to go to a late 76 Sherman, and then +2 for going to a jumbo, or +3 for a jumbo with a 76. Pretty awesome thing. What would you want to say, Ed?
Yeah, I got a question for you. I looked through a little bit of that, but did I read it right where you can actually take like a Sherman platoon, and you can just add different, you can mix and match the different.
Oh, yeah.
You can have a jumbo in there. You can, Did I read that right?
That's the whole. Yep. You did. And that's the whole point of the jumbo, is to have it in the unit so that you can do the swap hits to it, and its armor goes up for that 2-point increase to 11. So you're now withstanding a lot of fire. Pack 40s are just bouncing, and even 88s are going to have a lot more difficulty punching through, especially at range. And I was surprised. I was thinking we'd see something like jumbos lead the way, a special rule, so you could do mistaken target on a 2+ for them or something. But they just have the standard, 3 or better to do mistaken target.
Right, mistaken identity is still there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, with the 11 armor, and I think that armor is slightly lower than what it used to be in version 3. I think like the Churchill Crocodiles slightly went down, and the Churchill Mark 7's armor slightly went down. I think the jumbos is slightly lower, but I think if you're holding up against a pack,
the jumbos used to be at 12.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If you're holding up against Pack 40, you're fine. so so good to see those. So those are pretty awesome to have. And then they brought in the Chaffies. Oh, and before I get to those, I'll hit the Pershings. And I have no Pershings thus far, but I'm about to buy me some damn Pershings. I think that the Pershing looked like where the Panther should have been. They're basically 9.5 points a pop, so for 2 of them it's 19 points, for 3 of them it's 29, for 4 of them it's 39 points, ding, 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 their magic reserve 40-point value. I bet even Chris Fretz gets these guys. And they come rolling on the board. Their armor is as good as a Panther. It's a 9, 6 on the side, 2 on the top, so better on the top than a Panther. They are careful, big plus there, so they're harder to hit, and when they do get hit, they save a lot better with that armor. They're confident, just no protected ammo, just 4+ all the way around. Only 4+ for training, but for tactics, 3+ for the move orders. And that 90mm gun gives them a AT-14. And other than that, the cross check's a 2+, so just like a Panther. I'm like, if I'm not mistaken, this is I think about the price point Panther should have been. I mean, we've probably seen Panthers, I think, if they came in at this point, but just somehow it seems like, to me, these are right. And as far as what the Panther should have been like, do you agree, or is that you guys see it a different way?
Yeah, I see I still see these as Panthers, really, American Panthers.
Oh yeah. But they're cheaper. The Americans get these for less than the Germans get the Panther. That's the point I'm trying to make. That we don't see a lot of Panthers, but I think if the Panthers were pointed like these, we would have. Just my observation. But But yeah, I'm definitely I've got to now go yet and expand my Americans, which I thought I was done on, and throw some of these in. They're just gonna be a great reserve unit to have 4 of these come rolling in at 39 points. And
I just have to wrap my head around the idea of an American tank that it doesn't have stabilizers, though. That's such a foreign concept.
Yeah, but that AT-14 will do you well. So
true.
Be punching heavier, but I would miss stabilizers too. I really like them. I think I'm still more prone to run a lot of upgun 76 late Shermans, but and maybe even Easy 8s if I get them. Oh, I didn't mention the Easy 8 smooth ride rule, right? So they have the speaking of stabilizers, they retain that for version 3. So an Easy 8 that only goes 6 inches or less does not get the -1 for fighting stabilizers, and that's pretty darn good for coming up over a ridge, or just you won't have to try to do a blitz to move up, and you can just move on up and shoot. So you don't have to risk a blitz to come up and get a great shooting shot. So long as it's only that short distance, to crest a hill or something.
Right.
And then and then you can save your shoot and scoot to go back down. I think that's better than the German.
You
blitz.
can't do that because you would move. You wouldn't be able to do that because you moved.
Oh, that's correct.
Because you can't shoot and shoot if you move a regular move.
And since thanks for blowing my strategy, Chris.
Sorry. But one of the nice things about the Sherman platoons, one of the things I really liked in the late war version 3 version of the Sherman platoons, and it's still very much so in this, if not maybe even a little bit more, is your ability to mix and match, as Ed mentioned earlier. The idea of being able to put regular Shermans in with your 76s in a platoon, partly to decrease the cost and partly to be bullet magnets, but also to give you direct fire smoke in the platoon. Because one of the big issues right now, D-Day book, is you got all your platoon of 76s and then you got all your platoon of 75s. And if you want some smokers to go along with your 76s to clean up afterwards, you don't have that ability unless you're committing 2 full tank platoons, and that's usually more than your points are going to allow, because then your other side of the table is falling apart because you got no tanks over there. So the idea of being able to do 2 or 3 Easy 8s and then just a couple of vanilla Shermans to help is I think a great advantage. Do a jumbo, 2 Easy 8s and 2 vanilla Shermans. That was a prime tank platoon for me in version 3, and I certainly will be resurrecting that.
So what will that come in at point wise? We'd have the what was it, the 20 or 30? No. Shoot, it's hard to tell the way they got this thing written out, because you got your so the 4 Shermans are 20 points. The Easy 8 brings you up to 24 to get the 2 Easy 8s. And then 26 points to get the jumbo added in. So pretty stout unit.
So
and that's
compare that to what is it? It's like 26 points for 5 76s in the D-Day book. Is that right?
Yeah, it's 29. It's 31 points. I'm sorry, because you were talking 5 Shermans, right?
5 Shermans, yeah.
Yeah, so that's 25 points for the 5 tanks, then 4 points for the upgrades for 2 Easy 8s, and that takes you up to 29, and then another 2 for the jumbo. Or 32 points if you want a jumbo with a 76. So pretty cool.
Yeah. But again, that's a nice support platoon for your tanks. Yeah, because if you went with 5 Sherman 76s from the D-Day book veterans, it'd be 28 points. So, for what we're saying, 3 more points, 31, you said? 3 more points, you get the up-armored Sherman jumbo to take some hits. And you still have 2 76s in there that have the 6-inch move, no penalty. And then you have the 2 vanilla Shermans to clean up with smoke, or be unlucky to get the mistaken target that didn't go onto the jumbo going on to them. So,
and the rest of the support options are pretty much the same. You still get the 105 Shermans and the other typical support that you had from D-Day, but the Calliopes now come in, where you get these, and I can't remember if we had them in version 3. I think we did in
They
Remagen,
were there.
but I never get a chance to
were
use
there.
them. Yeah, I think these guys are kind of a bargain. It's only 8 points for 3 of them, and they got the same late Sherman stats, front armor 7 and all, and they have a salvo template. It's only AT2. Now the firepower is only 5+. So these are a large pinning unit, not a killing unit. But what I like is they're still not half bad. Like if you get for 5 of them, you get 5 for 13 points. So you get this great bombardment, lots of rerolls. I mean, it's not going to dig a lot of infantry and stuff out, but it's going to cause a lot of suppression all across the battlefield. But these guys can go assaulting. That's 13 points for 5 tanks that you can do a couple salvos early in the game, then rush forward and still assault. Now, granted, they only assault on 5s. Their assault rating is 5+. And their counterattack sucks. So if they have to break off, they're not coming back in. But I kind of like that. I kind of think that's an interesting unit to use early on to bombard for a couple of turns, and then once you get danger close and you can't use those big salvos anyways, then you just rush up forward and start assaulting with those things. I'll assault with a 5+. If I get enough holes just to get a few hits here and there. So kind of interested in those.
They still have 4 machine gun shots. They can't fire their main gun, but
they can. But
they have 4 machine gun shots. So they can. I mean, a front armor 7 machine gun box that rolls around and shoots at stuff.
Yeah, they can. And if infantry gets out in the open, if you're defending with those things, they'll just massacre them with that big template. So I'm digging it. The other unit that new thing they added was the M24 Chaffies, and these are pretty cool. They're I never had these before. They're basically 4 points a tank, so they're slightly cheaper than the Sherman from D-Day. The veteran Sherman, sorry. They are, they're careful as well. They're only hit on 4+. The armor's not as good as a regular Sherman. It's only 4 in the front, 3 on the side, 1 on the top. But all the stats are basically the same otherwise. So pretty good, and they move faster. They're 12-inch move, so a better chance to get around the flanks. And they still have Chris's stabilizers, and they still have Chris's smoke. They can't be upgraded to anything else. Yeah, and they're still protected ammo. So they're a pretty decent little Sherman replacement. They're really not a light tank. It really is a medium tank with just slightly less armor. And so they're not going to be at risk like the Stuarts are to armored cars and the PaK 38s and the 37mm guns and all those kind of and the anti-aircraft guns and stuff. They're not going to be nearly as vulnerable as any of those. But these guys will be fast, and they'll be even able to get on the flank of the big tanks even better than the normal Shermans.
Yeah.
So I think they're a good option, and I like them with the mixed the cavalry Chaffee unit, where you get to mix a lot of recon in there, add some cheap templates, and just kind of bulk the force out. So I think they're a pretty decent option. But yeah, 4 points a pop, and they have the same light tank options. The armored mortars, the M8s, the M105s. They do not get the Calliope option, and you can take Chaffies, and you can take in if you take your headquarters and your 2 mandatory black box units. Your 3rd unit can be Chaffies or those M4 late Shermans if you want to try to take that mixed unit that Chris was talking about and make kind of like the assault unit, and the other ones are kind of the flankers. So 1 to come right at you and 2 to go around the flanks. It'd be kind of a neat combo. So Chaffies are in there. That's pretty awesome to see. And
I didn't hear you. Did the lightweight, the weight difference from the new Chaffies on the card give it a better cross ability?
I'm not sure. No. Let me see. Let's take a look at it. 3+ looks like it's the same to me.
It's the same. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 3+ for the Chaffee cross. So not any better. Probably because it had narrow tracks. It's not just the weight of the vehicle. It's the weight versus and the horsepower and the track width. To a track footprint, I should say, for ground pressure. That's what really helps determine the bog check stuff.
Pound per
cool
square.
They did. Yeah. So you can also take regular Shermans that are not veterans. They're a little bit cheaper. So these are late Shermans, and they can get the same upgrades. So they go in as 4 points apiece. So that's basically it's the same cost as the slightly cheaper than the D-Day regular veterans, but these guys are aggressive. They're hit on threes. So for that, basically a savings of 1 point per tank, you just become aggressive. But then there's other command cards you can do to try to get in there and mess with those a little bit. But they have all the same options for the the Easy 8s. So you don't have to have veteran Easy 8s. You don't have to have veteran jumbos. You can upgrade those in here too. Those upgrades cost the same. So if I was going to go with a lot of those upgrades like Chris was talking about, I think I'd go with the veterans because they don't cost any more to get a veteran Easy 8 or a veteran jumbo. That upgrade isn't any higher. Yeah. But you had something to add there, Ed?
Go ahead. Well, for me, Tom, I'm thinking just the opposite. I'm looking at the confident hit on threes Chaffies, and 4 of them are only 12 points.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Shermans. Again, I always look at the confident hit on threes because I think I can just get a more full featured force, and I can play down that hit on threes in a lot of cases. And between smoke and maneuver, get that stuff, and then still have the same punch that the veterans have in terms of shooting at somebody.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you're certainly extremely experienced at running the confident train, if you will, confident aggressive Americans. So this is in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets you even cheaper Shermans. Just not gonna take a hit well across the front.
Yeah, Chris, I see you taking those hit-on threes in a lot of your formations that you do. That those extra points that you save by getting that is buying you the extra rounds down range to make the difference. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And we have, as I alluded to earlier, there are some command cards for these guys. We talked about the Cav Chaffee unit and the M5 the Chaffee Cavalry and the M5 Stuart Cavalry formations. There's 2 of those. There's also just a straight up cavalry reconnaissance troop, just all armored cars and so on. There's a spearhead card, which would be 3rd Armor Division, and these guys are a little bit more reluctant-ish. They're -3 per unit of M4s and -2 per unit for the M5s, M4s, M24s, or the M105, M4s with the 105s. And that brings them down to reluctant with a remount of 4+. I don't think I would go for that. Just that again, the assault counterattack and all those kind of things.
Right.
They also have Black Panthers, the African American 761st, Sherman unit. I think they were independent tank battalion, weren't they? They weren't part of any division.
They were independent.
Yeah.
And they for +1 point per unit, they become straight up fearless. Or straight up veteran, full veteran. So they not only will have the Yankee ingenuity tactics of 3+, they'll be 3+ for everything skill related. So assaulting, calling fire, and all that kind of stuff. So that's cool upgrade option, and not too expensive. And Chris already kind of mentioned the Free French, the 2nd Armor Division. They have an infantry card and an armored card, and basically for 1 point per unit, they get a last stand of 3+. Not so thrilled about that, but I just
extra point.
I'd like to see. If it was +1 motivation overall, I'd probably do it. So those are the big formation cards, and then they have some upgrade cards, like Chris mentioned with the tank destroyers. That you can for your 76mm guns, you can get the same hypervelocity AT-13 for ½ point per tank, and buying them by pairs.
And again, that's after the Bulge. That's June. If you take a look at the description, it tells you.
Yeah. You can also up armor your tanks for a additional point, and that brings them with the front armor 851. So
that's right.
But it does it costs you 1 point per tank, and it reduces your cross check by 1. So if your cross check was a 3, it's going to go to a 4. There's also sandbag armor, which you can take, which is a +1 point per tank. I think I'd go with the upgraded armor before this, but it takes 2 inches off your dash speed, and it gives you a 5+ save, just like a ward save, if you will, against AT firepower 5+ weapons, your bazookas, Panzerfaust, Panzerschrecks, and so on, some of the lighter guns. Then you get the Easy 8 option for the the horizontal volte suspension system upgrade for the 105 Shermans. You can get that. That just makes them a little bit better at moving. I don't know if that's an upgrade I worry about, but it's in there. And then interestingly, the Sherman Crab card, you get the Crab mine clearing tanks for regular Shermans, and Sherman Crocodiles. What fun is that, Chris?
Yeah,
I got 4 of them sitting in my American tank drawer, just waiting to go back out.
Well, now they're ready to roll.
I don't think I've ever played them, but I've got them there. So.
One thing that was really weird from version 3, I remember the scrapyard tank platoon option. And apparently there was a division that this personnel made it to Europe, but its equipment did not. And so they went around and scrounged, from the rebuild yards or replacement groups. So they'd roll a tank platoon with all sorts of weird ash and trash, priest and what are the M12s and this kind of Sherman. And I wouldn't be surprised if they yeah. So that you can still, if you were into that weird unit, it's still there. And then the 2 leaders that the tanks get. Patton really isn't a tank leader. He's any American formation leader. He replaces the leader. We talked about him already. But then you also get Abrams, who's a little bit cheaper. Craigton Abrams, he'd be 4th Armor Division. He has 3-point cost, and he gets spearhead for the headquarters. That's pretty cool. And then all units within 6 inches of him can do a move order after a successful move order. So with Craigton Abrams, he can basically kind of do the German stormtrooper thing with units within 6 inches of him, which I would seriously consider. I think that might be an interesting thing to play with. Yeah, so lots of cool things. Did we mention the Super Pershing? It is in there. I think we skipped that.
I kind of mentioned it on the date available, but that's it. I didn't talk about the firepower or anything on it.
Well, if you take that, it comes in a platoon of 1, and but it's pretty skippy. I would certainly want to play this before the Germans get their books with the King Tigers, because it'd be kind of fun for the Americans having the biggest, baddest tank on the battlefield. So enjoy it while you can until the King Tigers come out. But it's 16 points for a single tank, so it's pretty reasonable. I just don't like that it's a single tank. I wish you'd get them a pair or something. And it's got front armor 13, so it's immune to any German gun on the board right now. It can be bailed at short range, but other than that, it'll just bounce stuff all day. Yeah. It's a side of 6, top of 2. It is careful, only hit on 4s, confident, straight up. It's tactics still 3+, trained for other skill checks, but it's a gun is a AT-18.
Yeah,
AT-18 for that super 90mm gun, which makes me wonder what the King Tiger is going to have. I guess we should know because we already have the Nashorn, but that's just in the Ferdinand. So I guess what are they at? I can't recall. Are they 18s also?
No, Ferdinand's a 17. I thought.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is at 18. So pretty cool. 16 points for a 1-unit model is rough, but I think I'd like to run it over the next few months until the German book's out, just to say I had the biggest tank on the battlefield.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
Yeah, that's the part I think. That's why I say the time-themed tournaments, because right now, if we just played this as it is with all the potential cards and whatever, it's not taking in account that the Germans have their like vehicles for the same time period, and so it's like a unfair advantage to do so. Yeah, indeed. Well, the Germans got to enjoy the Tigers for so long. I assume the American players could have a couple of months to run with this. But in any case, well, we're kind of running short on time right now, and we're not done with this yet. So we're going to take a break. Chris has got some stuff he needs to get to, and Chris, we greatly enjoyed having you with us again, with your expertise with all the U.S. forces. Yeah, but we'll take a break, and then Ed and I will come back, and Ed's going to deep dive into the airborne units for us. Oh, and one other card that I was thinking about talking about. Did you see the Ranger card? Yeah, I did. Second Rangers.
Yeah, so it also modifies the D-Day Rangers, and it just brings them up to careful. Like, finally, Rangers that aren't just getting shot off all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm not a Ranger player, but if I was, I'd be very excited for that card. So, Chris, before we go to the break, any final comments from you, since you won't have a chance to come back and pick up with the Airborne guys?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Airborne was the first force I played, and one of the first time you and I played, Tom, was my Airborne against your Airborne. Back
I remember
at
it
the
well.
Fruits.
Yep. That's when we met.
So.
Yeah, indeed.
You got a good memory, because that's been a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
It was a fighting withdrawal, I think, and back in those days we had wire entrenchments or wire emplacements, and Chris' Airborne guys were just getting all hung up on that wire and just had lots of German machine guns shooting them off the wire. So it was, of course, he's made me pay for that many times over since then. So okay, well, Chris, thanks, and everybody else, we'll get back here shortly, and we'll continue on with Ed and the Airborne guys.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back. So we're not done with the U.S. Bulge book. Ed is now going to bring us through the Airborne and glider units to close out the book. So Ed, what's good about these new formations that we have in the D-Day Bulge book? These would be the specifically the 101st for the Bastion, right? That's what we're really focusing on here. So
well,
how does
it
this
actually
book handle them?
It has the 82nd and the parachute and glider. Okay, so you know, glider being the 101st, parachute being the 82nd.
Well, they both had both.
They both had both. Yes.
Yeah.
And so either one, you can take either. But let's start with the Bastion parachute unit and parachute. Hang on, let me get to the right thing. Yeah, Parachute Rifle Company.
Yep.
And so when I looked at the difference between the D-Day book and this book, the only difference is that yes, the Bastion book, the unit's going to be a little more expensive, but it gives you a very key option in there that you did not have before with your Airborne unit. In the D-Day book, in the Airborne unit, you only had the option for the 75 millimeter pack howitzer battery, okay, which is the short little stubby things that cost for so much money, 12 points for a full battery. But now you have the option of the M3 105 glider. What do they call it? A glider
battery.
Glider field artillery cannon battery. Lord Almighty! And so what it is a short 105 without a gun shield that you could transport by glider, and you now have that option for a 3-gun battery or a 6-gun battery. And so pretty significant, because you now have the anti-tank value of 3 there, which now gives you a little more bite in your indirect capability. Plus you have the 3+ as opposed to 4+ for the firepower. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a big difference. Yeah.
Do these guys get time on target? Like, they?
It should be like any other battery. There, it doesn't say that it doesn't get it, so I'm assuming it does.
No, I think it needs to say it if it gets it. I think time on target
well,
is.
Let me jump over to the card and
see
if it says that on the back.
It does get it. It says right there, gun unit, large gun, time on target. So it does.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And it does say time on target. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. And
but 22 points for that full battery of 6.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And but you get it. I don't know. I'm a big fan of American artillery. American artillery was historically very decisive, especially as we got later and later into the war. And yes, it's expensive. The time on target, and now the parachute formations now have a generic part of their formation that has now got a little more bite in their indirect capabilities. So I think that's key. Now, what else is pretty interesting about the new Bastion version for the parachute rifle company is that they took into account the stubbornness of the Bastion troops. So now not only are they fearless and reach over here, fearless and skilled as a fearless and I got on the wrong page.
Yeah, they're hit on fours. They're veteran.
Yeah, veteran.
And they're fearless for motivation. Yeah.
They now got the ability to with the last stand of a 2+, and so that little bit there. But that little bit more also makes them a bit more expensive. So whereas the headquarters was a 3 points before. Let me see. Yep. Let me see if it made it just with headquarters. Headquarters,
now, it's the same.
It's still 3 points, and so there's no change to that. But where it changes is when you get to the rifle platoon. That's the only change there. They still have the same options. Still can add a second bazooka team. Can still add up to 2 M1919 light machine guns. But when you take a look at the price now, it's a 1 point for each of the large platoon and the small platoon. So it was 14 points. It now goes to 15 points. So you're just paying that extra 1 point. I think it'll be worth it, especially if you're trying to play those defensive war battles there. That one extra 2+ may just save you. May buy you another turn.
Well, it captures the character of the unit. You know, the dogged defenders of Bastogne, not refusing to surrender after being totally encircled, and just continuing to hold out. So they wouldn't throw in the towel. So that's what they're replicating here.
Yep, and I like that. Anything historical like that, they take into consideration. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Otherwise, everything else the same.
Everything's the same. Gliders take that same thing. So when you take a look at the Glider Rifle Company, it is going to be the same kind of thing, and you're going to get the. But here's where it's going to change. Let me go ahead and get it. The headquarters is now it's only 2 points where it was 2 points before. And before they were confident veterans, and so now they are a last stand of, they call it nuts, last stand of 3+. So they do take that into account. Yeah. And so there you go. So they again, historically taking that account as well. So a little less expensive when you take a look at the rifle platoon. It is actually going to be a little bit more because you got more troops in a rifle platoon. So here you got in a rifle platoon for a glider, you got 10 grand teams, a bazooka team, an M1919, and a 60mm mortar. Okay, for 16 points, and of course you can add for 1 point another bazooka team and a second 60mm mortar, not a machine gun, but a 2mm mortar for 2 more points. So that's the difference there. But that was the same option I believe you had for the D-Day book. So when I'm looking at the D-Day book, it's the same option, but the second 60mm is a whole extra point more. So it's 2 points there as opposed to the 1 point in the D-Day book. So
I wouldn't even get it. I wouldn't even get it for 1 point. I mean, you're still repeating bombardments even with both of them. I don't see the point of adding another mortar. They still both have to shoot the same target from bombardment. It's just you can't split them out to different locations. So that would, I wonder why they increased the points to 2.
Yeah, I don't know, but I can tell you when you take a look at the glider rifle platoon from D-Day, like the large platoon was only 10 points. It's the same number, 10, 1, 1, and 1. 10 Garands, 1 bazooka, 1 light machine gun, and 1 mortar. Was only 10 points. Okay, of course they were just confident trained. Okay, but now they are confident trained with the last stand of 3+, and they still had the rally of 3+ before, but rally and last stand there. So
they're different. I don't know why. Last stand is to go away, and rally is to unpin.
Yeah, right. And so why is it such a big change of points? Yeah,
but their skill is veteran too now though. So they range in better, they assault better, they dig in better.
Oh, yeah. I just remembered why. They were hit on 3s before, now they're hit on 4s. Yeah.
And that's also huge. So they're significantly more
huge.
expensive, but they're also significantly better.
Yes. Okay, so I was trying to remember, what was the difference? Yeah, that was it. They're hit on 4s as opposed to 3s. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I just still don't understand the +2 on the mortar, though. But
I guess. Oh, Ed, I know why. I'm guessing why, because it ranges in better. Before it ranged in, as trained. Now it's ranging in as veteran, so it's a more effective mortar. But I still wouldn't go for it.
Yeah.
But that's so that mortar is better than the mortar from the D-Day book, but only just slightly. I don't think that would be. Yeah, I'm not putting 2 points into a single mortar tube. That's not really going to increase the bombardment capability of the platoon. I mean, it would if one mortar gets killed, the other one still bombards. That's nice, but really, I just don't need a whole bunch of little reroll templates all over the place. Just slows the game down and just rarely accomplishes anything unless you're super lucky. So just let that go.
And you've been super lucky before.
Yeah, indeed. Well, and these guys can take the gun nest and the outpost AT guns and the outpost machine guns. So that's something that they couldn't do in D-Day. Chris talked about those just a few minutes ago. And they have the other complement. So anything else that they have new for the airborne troops?
Well, what they do have new are the command card options, which are awesome.
All right, well, let's hear about those.
So I'm going to switch to my view on that. And so you did mention a couple of people already. I don't know if you mentioned Audie Murphy card. The Audie Murphy card is in here as well. That comes with the battle-weary rifle platoon, but I don't remember you guys talking about that. But that's a pretty awesome card. And that one takes a look at assaults. In assaults, the unit leader hits on a 3+ tanks. That hit will save using their top armor against the anti-tank of 3+. Okay, and a unit has a counterattack of 3+ as well. Anyway, I thought it was pretty good. At least you got the option in there.
Yeah, I missed the old Audie Murphy where he was became an objective, and sat on an objective with a 50 became a machine gun bunker on top of an objective, and could call fire. I thought that was pretty cool. I actually used him. I have the model, the Audie Murphy on the back of the M10.
I got it a few times. Yeah, it was too cool not to get.
Yeah, he could be really useful because one of the things that Chris talked about, that some of the reasons he didn't like the war-weary rifle platoons was because the low morale, the low counterattack, and this guy, he would give you that. Now it's just the unit leader. The unit leader. I mean, Audie Murphy he's not a formation commander. He's just the unit leader. So just that one platoon has the leader hits on 3+. He has the increased AT that you talked about, AT3, which is great, and then but that unit then has a counterattack of 3+. So it doesn't help the whole formation, but if he upgraded that one submachine gun platoon or something, he could give them go from a 5+ counterattack to a 3+. So, but it's a 4-point card. but yeah, very very favorable. I dig it. We gotta love Audie Murphy.
Well, the cards that are specific for the airborne type units, we got General Maxwell Taylor card, which is a 5-point card. And in the Bastogne paratrooper rifle platoon and the glider platoon in this force, you may use the spearhead rule. And so I don't see the it's for the entire formation. So rifle platoons get the spearhead rule in there. And so if you have several units, 2 or 3, 3 units doing spearhead, or 3 large platoons, glider platoons using spearhead, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, but situational. There's only so many missions you can use it. I don't find I usually need more than one unit that can spearhead. But it could be interesting, to have the whole big surge forward. But five points for something that in a lot of games won't matter at all. It's like,
Yeah. So you're rolling the dice on that. It also depends on the your mission and the enemy you're going against. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's there. At least you got the option. The other cool one here is you got Richard Winters, Captain Winters there.
Yep.
And so they've got his card. His card is a 4-point card, and it's for use for the Bastogne Parachute Rifle Company. And so units in this formation rally on a 2+. Okay. Any unit from this formation whose unit leader is within 8 inches, okay, and line of sight of the winter piece may re-roll failed counterattacks, rallies, remounts, and last stand rolls. That is big.
Well, all leaders can do that, but he gets to do it at 8 inches versus 6 inches. It's the range that helps him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's
pretty cool.
So
if you're a big Band of Brothers fan, you know that Spears has got to be in there somewhere. Yeah, he's my favorite character. And so here you go. You got the Ronald Spears card. Let's see. What does it say here? It is a 3-point card for the Parachute Rifle Company. It says in this formation, commander is not in bullet. If this formation commander is not in bulletproof cover, he may re-roll failed infantry saves for each hit he takes. Okay, so pretty significant. The formation commander may be held in ambush, okay, at the start of the game. Okay, when you reveal ambushes, place the commander within 6 inches of any teams of the Bastogne Parachute Rifle Platoon, and not within 4 inches of an enemy. So he kind of starts off hidden. That way you can kind of avoid your templates of rocket batteries or whatever. So it has a potential of living longer here.
Well, the most important thing this lets you do is that often you don't know which way is going to be the enemy's main focus, and you'd prefer to have your commander where the enemy's main attack is going to fall, so that you can rally troops at that location. So you don't have to worry with this guy whether the bad guys are going left or right. He can just pop up whichever way they go, and
he shows
points,
up
right?
where it's needed. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, just like Spears did. You could see it time and again in the movie. Yeah,
it would be kind of interesting in the assault. Having him join a unit to assault, and then you can shift the hits over to him, so he gets the double saves in the assault. That'd be kind of cool. And then even if he does die, he gets a 3+ to swap out with somebody else. So
Yeah.
So I think kind of characterful. Reminiscent of that scene where he's running through the town right through the German lines. So they just have a hard time gunning him down. But we're not done with the Band of Brothers though.
No, we still got the first sergeant here. First Sergeant Carwood Lipton for 2 points. Same parachute rifle company for Bastogne. It says any unit from this formation whose unit leader is within 6 inches of the formation commander passes on a 2+. So this just gives you the 2+, but 2 points. So there you go. They got the 3 main characters in there, or 3 of the main characters in there. I'm pretty happy.
But we still got a couple more Airborne guys coming though.
Yeah, this one has to do with this is the another parachute rifle company. Julian Cook, Major Cook there in the Holland drop zones there. So for bridge too far kind of scenario. There you go. You got this guy here as well. It says any formation whose unit leader is within 6 inches gets a 2+ on tactics. So your tactics gets a +2.
Yeah, not so useful. I mean, infantry, except for dig in, they don't use tactics that much. But what's important to talk about here though is that yes, this book is called U.S. Bulge. But it actually covers, this is the last U.S. book we're going to get for version 4. It covers the U.S. Bulge, U.S. Market Guard, and U.S. Into Berlin. What was the Remagen Bridge book, I think was the last version 3 book they had.
In Desperate Measures.
So this has all of it. So this allows you to get a little flavor for Market Guard if you want to get it. And so does the next guy.
Yeah. And so the next guy, of course, is James Gavitt here, Parachute Rifle Company. And so this is pretty cool too. It says after your opponent rolls to receive reserves, roll a die for each unit you still have in reserve. Okay. For each result of a 6, your opponent must ignore the successful die roll result. Okay, from this for that turn. Yes. So what it's saying there is, okay, if he gets one on, if you've got a couple of units in your reserve, okay, they're causing distractions behind the line enough if you roll a 6 to prevent that unit from coming on.
Well, that's pretty key in a battle like encounter or dust up. That could be pretty key.
That's right.
If you're having a bad day getting on reserves, your opponent's gonna have a even worse day getting on reserves, because your guys staying off the board help keep his guys off the board.
Yeah, but you know what? For 3 points, for a chance to roll a 6 if reserves, I mean, you know, you better hope that he gets you guys get a mission where he actually has reserves. Otherwise, you've blown 3 points for a slight chance to do anything at all. So I don't know if I would do this card. Yeah.
No. Well, a lot of these I think are just for character flavor to add to scenario kind of things. I don't know that a lot of these are meant to be like tournament breaker or tournament meta kind of driving things. I think the patent card has some potential, but most of the other ones I think they're neat, they're colorful, but I don't know that they're must-haves for force. So as far as the airborne and glider rifle options, what do you think of in terms of a force in the future? Because you actually do play airborne and glider guys occasionally.
Yes, I do, and at least I've done this with fighting against you, and but I look forward to fighting you with my my airborne guys now, is particularly now that I've got more units here with the artillery piece there that I like a lot. So yeah, I'm definitely liking it, and I definitely think I would go with the infantry in the next tournament, as opposed maybe with a little bit of arm support.
The gliders or the paratroopers?
Well, with the paratroopers, I think I'd probably go paratroopers, but it depends on the point level of the tournament, because if I need those extra points to get the armor support that I'd like, and of course the air support that I like, if it requires me to drop down to the gliders because they're, I don't know,
well, the gliders are going to actually cost you more.
They're still more expensive.
They're bigger units. Not as good, but they're bigger.
Yeah.
So
I think I would probably go with the airborne, just because I can get more of them. I can get more in the force as far as units in the force, and because they're less expensive, I could probably purchase some more support artillery.
And they got that 2+ stand. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
On the last.
So I think I would go with the airborne.
All right.
Parachute.
Good enough.
Parachute. Yeah.
Well, cool. So overall impressions of the book. You're going to be happy to get this one?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This is absolutely. Yeah. This opens up so many other options now for the rest of the war.
We didn't get any things in terms of like scenarios of this book. I know we've got possibly some coming in the future. Some of the special ones like we had in Stalingrad. There's no special missions or scenarios or historical refights in here. It's just the forces, I should say, and options. What about support? We didn't talk much about anything new support-wise that the D-Day U.S. folks. We talked about the Calliopes, we talked about the Pershings and the Chaffies. Oh, here's one: the M15, M16 AA platoon. Right, that's
right.
We didn't have the we had the M16s before, but did we have the M15s before? I can't recall.
The M15.
Yeah. We also have the T-27 xylophones. Those are new. The same thing that's on top of the Calliope. And they're pretty. There's 7 points for 4 of them, and it's only 3 points for 2 of them. But it's the same thing. The big salvo template with a 5+ firepower AT2. So not going to dig out a lot of stuff, but will be pretty great for suppression and pretty deadly for infantry in the open. So that's a new support.
Yeah.
We had the M12s. We had the.
M12s, yeah.
We had those.
But
Yeah.
they're
I think.
but you know what? I can't remember if we talked with Chris about the engineers.
No, we did not. We hit those, the damned engineer cards, because they're not in the book. They're in the command cards. Yeah, go ahead.
They're in the command card. So, they in the command card they take into account the 291st Combat Engineers there, and so these were key in blunting the spear point for the Bulge campaign by blocking Piper every time he turned down another road to go around the roadblocks these guys would make. These guys would pop up. So you actually have a card here to make this formation. So for 1 point, okay, that takes into account, you can get a Bastogne glider headquarters. You're still using the Bastogne glider formation cards here. And so the engineers, you'll have an engineer combat platoon, up to 2 or 3 of these. You got a 1917 machine gun platoon, a 57 millimeter anti-tank platoon, and as pioneers. Yeah, right, from the glider formation. Yeah. And then all those are glider formation cards. Okay, but they are pioneers, so that pioneer advantage allows them to cross minefields at a 2+ and also to dig in at a 2+. And so you get a lot of good stuff there, a lot of extra advantages for an extra 1 point.
Yeah, and it's a very unique force.
Yeah.
And then
and with that, you can also do, but there's another cool thing with that. It allows you to get other cards as well that are specific.
Before you get those other cards, you better explain what's in the engineer combat platoon. And it's so the baseline
that's
what would be their
card.
I know, but it's a little further down. It's 14 points, with that. So I mean, these are kind of pricey guys. So you're getting they use the glider platoon stats. So you'd be careful, you'd be fearless, you'd have veteran skill and so on. Wouldn't be as crazy as the paratrooper guys, but you only get 5 M1 Grands, 3 bazookas. That's pretty cool. That's a good mix, and 2 heavy machine guns. No options. They just get all of that. So it's important to note they use the glider rifle platoon card for the stats, but they have a very different organization. 5 rifles, 3 bazookas, and 2 heavy machine guns, and no options otherwise. It's just that's it. That's all they get. So now you can go to those additional cards there, Ed.
Okay, I couldn't find that card. I don't know where you saw it.
The sequencing was bad. They put it after all the roadblock and booby trap stuff that you're about to talk about. They should have had it before that because it's part of the organizational part. Now you're getting into the special upgrade part. So continue on with the roadblock.
Okay, so here you got a roadblock option here. And with this, the roadblock, in a mission with minefields, you may also field 1 anti-tank obstacle per 2 minefields and 1 barbed wire entanglement for each minefield. That was an and. Did I read that right? Yeah, and.
You did.
And so, wow, this is awesome. But by saying that, and it is also 10 points. But you may also change one of those minefields for, what does it say? For 4 booby traps. So booby traps, and I'll get to that here in a second.
It's a different card. And you missed the anti-tank. Yeah. So you get a anti-tank obstacle for every 2 minefields. So typically that'd be 2 of them. It doesn't say what size these things. Oh, I guess these are same. These are not the. Before we get too far, these are not the and the wires. Yeah, they're not the old version 3 8-inch rectangles. They're still a circular area. So I guess you could model it to look more linear. With the dragon teeth on it, whatever you're gonna put out there. That would be dragon teeth for these guys. It would be logs and abatis and those kind of things. Yeah.
So for 10 points, I think you're getting a lot of good stuff. Definitely for defense.
You can only use it in a mission that has minefields, so risky. If you're not defending, you're not defending in a defensive battle. You're not gonna have them.
Right.
So I mean, as far as tournaments and stuff, for characterful campaigns and scenarios, awesome. We want to redo Piper's Charge scenarios like they had in the version 3. This is just absolutely key. Just be really cool to run them. And so then you were talking about booby traps as being another option.
Right, booby traps is another card to itself here, and it explains it. You may change one of your minefields to 4 booby traps. In that previous card, you can only do it with 1 of the minefields, but turn it in for 4 booby traps. Okay, the location of booby traps is shown by the booby trap marker. Okay, you get a separate marker. Okay, any team moving off a booby trap marker risks being knocked out. Okay, so what does it take to knock it out? And so, okay.
The same as crossing a minefield. Skill check.
That's exactly correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's the same
skill
thing.
Check to trigger it, and then it hits just like a mine does. So we've used these in the Vietnam games before. We've had these in our Nam games, and so you place they're kind of like ambushing minefields, but they only go into a single team. So you just place them in your in your turn, and you put them under one enemy team. And your opponent has to decide whether he just wants to sit there or take the chance to move off it. And there's nothing here about clearing them, like automatically remove. Like, you can automatically remove a minefield once you're in it. There's no thing like give orders to clear booby trap. There's clear minefields, but no clear booby traps. So once they got it on them, they got it on them until they move off or they just sit there all day. So that's pretty sneaky.
If the score is at least equal to the unit's skill rating, okay, the team moves unharmed. Otherwise, the booby trap knocks that unit out. Yeah.
Well, it has the effect of a minefield. It doesn't knock it out. Now you have to roll AT5 or do a save. So even though you failed the skill check to get off the mine or the booby trap, that doesn't mean you're dead. It just means the thing is triggered, and now you roll to see the effects of that, which you still may survive. So, and then it disappears. It's gone, but you can't clear it. Right? There's no clear booby trap order. That's what I want to drive it at. Once it's placed underneath your team, it's there. So kind of interesting if somebody's running a single King Tiger, pop it under there. If it's one of those trained King Tigers, guess what? Now he's got to do a 4+ to not trigger it, and then if he fails it, then he has a chance to get blown up. I mean, a 1 or a 2, he's done. He's dead. So. That would be worth it. But again, in order to get the booby traps, you have to have the engineers to begin with, and you have to take the roadblock card also. So it's not a cheap option, but it could be kind of a lot of fun to play in certain scenarios.
And it has to be a mission that has minefields.
Yep. So it basically is an extension of the roadblock card. Is really what it is. It's like roadblock part 2. Really got it on there. No, I'd love to do it. I'd love to run engineers just to have but I don't think competitively I'd be into it. Just too situational for that stuff. Yes. But there are some people who are served as engineers on active duty, and they've got to be able to play engineer. So we'll see them out there, no doubt. I just don't expect them to be meta dominating or anything like that. Yeah. Well, cool, man. I think that's pretty. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I was just saying, you can field an extra support combat engineer platoon as a support platoon. Yeah, if I'm reading this card correctly, your force may include a combat engineer platoon as a support unit. There you go. Okay, this unit uses the same rate. So you can get this. There's a 14-point unit if you want it. Okay, it gets and it counts as an engineer. So you get the remove minefields at a 2. And you dig in on 2. Yeah. 5 stands, 3 bazookas, and 2 heavy machine guns. So that's not a bad deal. Good defensive unit.
No, it's not. Just a little bit pricey for a relatively small unit, or at least just an average size. I mean, it's just just the 5 rifles, 3 bazookas, and 2 machine guns. Those but it's got all the tools. It's got all the stuff it needs. What would have been a deal sealer is they give it anti-tank 3. AT3, where he came equipped with the sticky bombs or the improvised, anti. That would have been a definite take then. But right now, maybe I kind of like the flavor. I just don't know that point wise.
But you can get sticky bombs. But The sticky bombs are only for the Ranger units, no? No, for they're for the parachute units.
Yeah, I
you can
don't
get sticky
think
bombs.
we saw those for command cards here in this new edition.
They
we
do.
have the
They do
chemical
have sticky
mortars,
bombs.
tape telephones, glider 37mm guns. Oh yeah, sticky bombs. They're there. But only the parachute. The gliders can't get them. The engineers can't get them. The battle
I'm surprised
guys
they didn't
can't get
put
them.
Rangers on there.
Yeah. Total air superiority is in there. 3 points. We've seen that card before. Oh, here's some pretty interesting ones we didn't talk about earlier. Is the provisional artillery, where the U.S. used captured German guns. The 10.5s, not so exciting, but then the 88s. They take a battery of 88s in place of a 105 slot, and they get to use the same number of 88 guns, which can bombard with AT2 firepower 4+, or direct fire of rate of fire 1, not 2, 1-1, halted and moving, and anti-tank 12 with a 40-inch range. So there you go, U.S. troops. You can get some 88s. I don't know if these are. Yeah, I don't know that these would be the 88s with the turntables, though. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, you got two cards there. Check it out. You do have the Luftwaffe 88s, the provisional field artillery batteries, 8cm, and then you got the long 88. So that's the
with
40
range
model, 43.
Range of 48, and then AT-13, but otherwise all the same. Yeah, I don't know what guns they're talking about here.
They're talking about, the short one's going to be the standard,
well,
88.
It doesn't say anything about turntable, Ed. So is it a flak 36, or is it a barn door, the FK?
That's a flak 36.
How do you know that?
The long one's going to be the 43.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't say turntable. And there's also a flak, a gun that was in a 105 chassis, and then they had that really long 88 that was, but they're also not as powerful in anti-tank fire as the.
They drop it down one, Yeah,
because they must just be using HE shells only. There must be no AT rounds for them. Anyways, interesting options in there, but I don't think you could claim turntable on those. I think they're just straight up, shooting forward. But,
the notes in the micro print on there, it says gun shield and slow firing only. It doesn't say anything about a turntable. I would assume it would be, because an 88, a flak 88, was on a turntable.
Well, not always.
The 43, the late model 43, was on a turntable.
Yes, but they also had them on standard artillery caissons, which you might need for the elevation to use them in a bombardment role. So they may not be the flak 36s and the turntable ones.
Oh,
so that's what I'm saying. It may be those, but they can hit that with FAQ. But right now, I'd have to say it doesn't say turntable, so you don't have turntable.
So I agree.
So it's not there. Yeah, and then they take the 10.5 centimeter guns. I don't see why you'd want to take those over above your standard US 105s, other than for character or flavor on board. It doesn't cost any points.
It's a little cheaper. It's only 10 points.
It's 5 points for 2, 10 points for 4. They have slightly different stats, so maybe it is a bit cheaper. Scrapyard Tank Platoon, we hit those. Yeah.
Hit on 3.
The M36B1s, we talked about the crocodiles, the flail tanks, the sandbag armor, up-armored EZ-8s, up-armored late Shermans, outpost for the guns, AT and machine guns, hypervelocity. 57HE, Chris covered that. Oh, we get the lucky card. Oh, here's something we didn't cover. The LVT-4 Amtrax.
This takes into account the 29th Infantry Division, so I like this because I have the LVT-4s. So, this will be fun to use.
Yeah, they are 1 point for the unit, and it gets you 1 transport for every 6 teams because they carry 7 passengers. So
that's
you'd only
crazy.
get you only get 2 of these for a platoon. but they're pretty tough. You know, they're armor 100, and they float, and they have a 50 cal and regular machine guns. So for 1 point, they have a couple. Even if you never put troops on them, for 1 point, to have a couple of mobile 50 cals running around with your platoon could be useful. That being said, they're reluctant, you know, so if they get one's blown up, the other one's running away. And they don't remount for a squat. Look at that. Remount on a 6+. So they don't like being shot at. And soft skins pretty much ends it. So yeah, I think we've pretty much nailed it, man. I don't think there's much more to go into. Just definitely looking forward to it. Excited to see what happens with the Germans to expand it. You know, I'd like to see the King Tigers will be in there for sure. We know that. That's already been announced. Probably some special stuff for Camp Group Piper. The who are those guys? The German deception guys that ran around in U.S. kit.
Scorsese.
Yeah, they'll have those guys probably. You know, disguises kind of. And so that'll be interesting to see how we get in that in the future. But anyways, I think that pretty well covers it. So we'll take another quick break. Go ahead.
Hold it. I gotta correct myself. Scorzani.
Okay.
I would never pronounce it. Oh, I'm driving myself crazy on that. Okay, but Scorzani.
Yes, I'm sure we'll see him in the future. So we'll take another quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about rules Ed and Tom forgot, and then we'll wrap up future events. And so sit tight. We'll be back shortly.
Speedball is lame. Hard Knocks Games is awesome. You can get board games, trading card games, role-playing games, hobby supplies and tools, Gundam, Warhammer, and more. Find us on Facebook or hardknocksgames.com or visit us on the Dixie Highway.
Hey everybody, welcome back from the break. I hope you enjoyed that rundown of US Bulge. We definitely are looking forward to it, but before we move on, we have some unfinished business to get to, and that is the ever-popular segment, Rules Ed forgot or Tom butchered. I've got to, and we've also been joined by Joe Lewis, who we mentioned earlier was going to join us to talk about upcoming Flames of War Masters 2021. But since we got him on this segment, he can help us out with this ruling. So Ed, tell us about this game scenario that you were involved with in your last tournament at Advance the Colors.
Yes, it was the mid-war tournament. It was in the first game, in the first round there, that tournament. And I was fighting your buddy Chris Fretz in that first round, and we were slugging it out as we always do. But it came down to the very end. Time was running out, and we hurried up and played our last round because Chris was sitting on the objective, and I was contesting the objective. And if he just had enough time to finish it, we did. So we quickly played that last thing. And so he was assaulting. He was playing his Americans, and he was assaulting my Germans there on the hill. And all I had was a couple of infantry stands and one of my recon 222s actually were up there, and he assaulted in there, and I survived the initial shooting, and I provided my shots at him, and so then he came rushing in on me and didn't do anything at first. And so I had to pass my morale test, and so I rolled 2 dice, one for each platoon. You know, they got to do morale checks. I rolled 2 dice, and so Chris tells me I'm doing that wrong. You know, I figured I've been doing this for a long time. What am I doing wrong here? Well, he said you only roll 1 dice. I go, well, I got 2 platoons here, and he said no, you just roll 1 dice and see what the result is. And so fortunately, he said roll it again. And so I rolled it again. This time I got a 6, and both platoons stayed. And so the thing I learned was, and this is what he said. So Joe, help me out. If he's wrong, I'm going to kill him. But or it actually worked out good for me. But I rolled 1 dice, and that number on the dice is applied to both platoons, and that's how we played it. Okay, and so since I rolled a 6, both platoons there made their counterattack roll, and I rolled, and of course I didn't do anything, but then he failed his counterattack, and then it was broken off, and the game was over. So did we do it right? And was I wrong, or was it vice versa?
It's 1 die roll.
Okay.
Apply.
So that he was right. Mm-hmm.
So he was right. And so the thing about that die roll is that say you had some guys who pass on 5s and some fearless guys who pass on 3s. You roll a 4, the fearless guys stay and the other guys run.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's how he explained it to me, and I guess I've been playing it wrong. So.
Yeah. Right. So could be interesting. And if you apply a reroll for the commander, so if you have one make it and one not make it, like Joe just said, and let's say you say I'm going to use a reroll to try to get them both in there, but now you roll a 1, now they're both leaving.
Yeah. Thanks, Commander.
Yeah, indeed.
Sounds like a guy I work for. Just say.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever that could be. No, indeed. So cool. Well, Joe, we appreciate that clarity on that. And Ed and I are actually talking about this in the break. That's exactly what I told him. I said, yeah, it's one die, and they possibly one could stay and one could go, depending on the ratings, or they both stay or both go. But in any case, that's not why we brought you here. As important as that information and guidance is, what we brought you here was to talk about the upcoming event for. Go ahead.
Okay. So, say you have infantry that has armored transports.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same type of mix where it's all mixed up. And the platoon is annihilated that has the armored transports.
Right.
And all it's sitting there is like the 1 IC, 2 IC. Now the assault's coming in. Are the transports still there? Or do they leave when the platoon got annihilated?
During the other guy's initial fire phase.
During the shooting phase, the infantry that has they're beat up, they're annihilated. They're none. Do the transports leave at that time, or when do they leave?
Well, I'm going to say that the transport should be gone, but I guess I'm going to be wrong. The way you sound.
I think this actually came up in the last tournament because I remember hearing people talking about this in the background. I didn't get totally involved in it, but I would say they are still there because it hasn't gone to the next phase yet.
It is the next phase because they disappeared in the shooting phase, and now we're in the assault phase.
Well, it's not the next turn when you judge morale and.
Well, they got to use the right terms. Next phase, it is. Okay, next turn, it's not.
Okay. Yeah, it's not the next turn, and the morale judgment hasn't been made at that point. So I'm going to say, they're still there.
Yeah, they're still there.
They're gone. They are. So when do they disappear, Joe?
Yeah. I'm flipping through the book now. Yeah, it's because it's when it comes up. Comes up at the end at the moving phase, or in the morale phase. How crazy is that?
It is crazy. I would not have expected that way, but I kind of sensed that that's the way it was going to go when you were starting to ask that question.
Because that came up. It came up over the weekend.
Wow, that's a zinger.
Yeah, I missed the conversation on it. And so, what did you say the result is? They are still there or not?
They are.
They're still there.
They're there for that next shooting step or assault step. They disappear in a morale step or a end of a movement step, but they're not within 6 inches of their commander. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it makes sense when you slow down and think about it, but I would never have thought that in a million years. I'd have said, okay, you just busted those guys. There goes their transports.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Intense.
Yeah. Anyway, some weird things that happen in the assault.
Yeah.
Yep. And we also haven't covered upcoming events. Joe, I don't know how much time you have with us. Do you want to do your Masters overview now, or do you want to go through the upcoming events, which we ripped off of BattleRankingsHeadquarters.com?
No, we can go up through upcoming events.
All right. Well, we are past the first two, October 1st and 2nd. That was Advance the Colors. So the first one on there is a Hard Knocks Games event on the 10th of October, and that's a 3-round Team Yankee 100-pointer, straight up red versus blue. Are you going to make it down for that, Joe?
Sadly, no.
Oh, bummer. Man. I miss you. All right, Ed, we'll pick up the next one there.
Okay, we got the HMGS/PSW
Pacific
Mini
Southwest.
Wars 2021 at Fullerton, California. All right, so yeah, HMGS. What, historical miniatures?
Gaming Society. Yes,
Okay,
Historical Miniature Gaming Society, Pacific Southwest.
There we go.
Yes. Yes, you must learn your
Sounds
acronyms
like a
for
name
wargaming.
thing, with all these extended acronyms. Anyway, it's in Fullerton, California. It's a late war 105.3 round, and that's on the 10th of October.
Yep, and then we've got a Vault Gaming Lounge. That's up in Felton, Delaware. So those probably run by Pete Zerfy. Late war, 85 points, 3 rounds. And then you got the 2 GENCON events. Why don't you cover those both, Ed?
Yeah, GENCON. I still need to put my name in the hat for that. That's going to be on the 22nd and 23rd of October. The first one on the 22nd is going to be a Team Yankee 105 point. It's okay, 105.3 round. It says no oil wars in this case. The next one on the 23rd is going to be a late war 105 points, 3 rounds.
All right, that's up in Cincinnati. And then we got the October 23rd, 24th Flames of War Masters in Indianapolis. That's pretty much by invite only. It's going to be 6 rounds, 84 points with a weird format that Joe will give us more detail on here in a minute. And then also on that Saturday, there'll be a side tournament like they like to set up, and that'll be just a straight mid-war 84 points, none of the list restrictions, if you will. So they'll have 2 events going on. So why don't you give us a Historicon there, Ed?
Historicon Fall 2021. This is at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. It's going to be and this is on the 11th of November. This is going to be a Team Yankee 110.3 rounds. And then the next 2 days, the 12th and 13th, it is going to be a 6-round late war 100-point tournament.
Yep, and that'll be our first nationals since COVID.
Yes.
So that'd be a plus extra 5 points event. So it'd be a good deal. I know you're going to those, right, Joe? Historicon?
I am.
Yeah, I will not be. I'll be spending all my ducats on a Disney trip in November. So I'll be missing that one. So you guys have fun. Maybe take Ed with you. And then on November 4th.
Never been to a Historicon. Never been to one. Want to go.
I love it. November 14th out in Round Rock, Texas, they're doing Millennium Con. That's outside of the Austin area. And they're doing a late war, 60, 80, 100. So they'll be splitting it up. I've been to Millennium Con a couple times from when I was in Fort Hood. They weren't playing Flames of War back in those days, but I think I played DBA, an Ancients tournament down there in one of those events.
Hey, Tom, note that is they are going to do a Toys for Tot collection at that tournament.
Oh, it's going to be a Toys for Tots event? Excellent. Excellent. Yes. All right. And we also have Game Tables Adventures in Newark, Ohio. Sorry, Ed, I just went to the next one. Probably being run by John Meyer, Late War 85. Is that going to be a Toys for Tots too there, Joe? Late November?
That is correct.
That's over the Thanksgiving weekend. So we'll have to play that one by ear. And then we have Joe's event up in December 4th. Able Company, Toys for Tots, Indianapolis. Late War, 77 points Bulge, because it's the 77th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge.
Yep, no rockets.
Red
no
versus
rocket
blue.
science is here.
Yeah, that's going to have to be. Although I think Chad's. I got an event on here for Chad. He didn't have a date set yet, but he better not do December 4th because I definitely want to come up for that one. I'll be all about doing some red on blue Battle of the Bulge. I might even paint a one army just for it. Ed, why don't you get the next one? Did you like that if you go to occasionally?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's at the same time as your Able Company, and I'll be in South Carolina for that, so I'll definitely go to this one, Skoda Fest. They're in Greenville, South Carolina. It's going to be a Flames War mid-war 105.3 round tournament.
Yep, 11th time they've run it apparently. So good for them.
Yeah.
And then late January, 28th, 29th, Las Vegas Open. I guess we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but typically we'll have Team Yankee and Flames of War. That's a big, huge convention that has a lot of competitive events, 40K, Star Wars events, Star Wars Legion, Star Wars Armada, Star Wars X-Wing, et cetera, et cetera. And then that brings us down to the last event we have. Well, not quite the last one, but you cover this one on this matrix there, Ed.
Yeah, it's the last one on in there for that's scheduled, but this is the future schedule. It's the Adepticon, and it's going to be at Schaumburg, Illinois. And so there's no information on it, but that's the 25th, 26th of March.
Yeah, and that should be a nationals, right, Joe, for Adepticon?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably have
reached out to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be a nationals, and they are running some ideas just to get my input about format.
Great.
So yeah, we'll see what they do. Yeah.
That sounds cool. I've got a couple other last-minute ads here. I got a contact from Andrew Gabori, who says that they're going to run an event in Marlborough, Massachusetts on October 16th and 17th. So by the time this podcast gets out, it's like the next weekend. They're going to do a mid-war and late-war, 2 events at 100 points each. So I presume that's mid-war one day followed by late war the next day, or vice versa. And Andrew says he faithfully listens to the podcast. And so I had a little exchange with him. And apparently there's a pretty decent following of Flames of War up in New England that I did not know about. He's got guys up in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Yeah, I was excited to see that. Being actually a quasi-native of New England from my dad's family.
Yeah.
And then Chad Underdunk just posted today. He says early December, so it better not be December 4th. Better be like December 11th or something.
I have a feeling it probably is.
Well, he's planning to do a 30-point Flames of War tournament with 5 rounds. They're like hour rounds or something. It's kind of a lightning phase thing. It's like real small, kind of light run-through type thing that he's looking to do. So more to follow on that. And I asked him if that's going to be a Toys or Tot event. Since we don't have one, I guess that would by default become ours for Hard Knocks games. So I just hope he doesn't do it on the same weekend as Able Companies, because I definitely want to get on that Bulge event. I think that'd be awesome.
We're going to have to do it the following weekend. Let's go for the 12th.
Woo. All right, now final thoughts. And this is where we're going to get into the Flames of War Masters for 2021. And we got the big shmee on that, the big kahuna, the guy who's got the details, the info. So, Joe, tell us about this event.
Okay. So, no, first of all, a little history, Tom, for those who are new to this. Do you know this is the 10th anniversary of Masters?
I do not.
I was looking that up today. First Masters was held in 2011, and Tom, you were one of the attendees.
Yay! I was. I remember now. Yeah, that was awesome. That was NBC Suites. It included lodging and meals, and it was pretty good event. Yes, I do recall that at the Baltimore
you ran
airport.
Germans and you were 13th.
Yep, 13th out of 16 players. I think I ran Falsenjägers.
There was 22 players.
Oh, was it that big? Okay. So that was not as bad, Ed. I was like in the middle. Yeah, I remember Bill Wilcox was there, John Cleves, some of the big names from back in the day. Charlie Clay was there. I think he and I shared a room. They paired us up in suites. Yeah.
Charlie Clay was there. Dave Vigor was there.
Yes.
Who else was playing today that was there? Aaron MP.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I met Aaron.
There. Yeah, I actually would meet Aaron the next year. Him and I were roommates the second year in 2012.
Yeah, actually, I met Aaron.
Yeah, it's the 10th anniversary.
Yeah. No, Aaron came here for a Wolf Creek before that. That's where I met him. Was at a Wolf Creek, but no, he's a great dude. Was glad to see him there too. So 10th year, wow.
I know, time flies. So, as you mentioned, it's an invitation only. So you got to ask yourself, well, how do I get into an invite to this wonderful event? So that's where Battle Rankings comes in, which I'm currently the curator. When your TO runs a tournament, and if they're inclined to, they send the score. They send the results to me. I put it into our tabulation machine, which cranks out a ranking. So it takes your top 4 finishes, and the more players and the higher you are, the more points you get. And it maxes out at 100. So typically a 14 or 12, I think it's a 12-man tournament will get you 80 points. A 42-person tournament will get you 100, and it scales through there. So the higher rank you are, the more players there are, the more points you get. And then for the course of the year, which begins on October 1st and obviously ends September 30th, we take your top 4 scores, and there's a point system. You could see this stuff at battlerankings.com, battlerankings.com, and go there, and then we have a tab that says for rankings, and there you can see where you're at. If you're a TO and you want to submit your results, go to Battle Rankings. There's a thing called the community section, and in there is the score sheets and the form to fill out to submit, and a PDF instructions on how to fill it out. It's like I said, not rocket science. You tell us your event and who played and what nationalities they ran, and then I just lifted in. We have a thing that converts Excel to SQL, put it in the database, and it runs. Boom. That's how you know what the scores are. So anyway, so that's at the end of the season, which we just came up on, we look at the top Canadian for Flames of War, and then we also look at the next 17 players. So 18 players go to Master. Well, 18 players go to Masters. Normally, in a normal non-COVID season, anyone who wins a national automatically gets a invite. So if you go to Historicon or Adepticon or Las Vegas Open or wherever the heck South the Southern Nationals is. So there's 4 of them and a Canadian Nationals. Those winners automatically got invited, and then everyone else is based off the points. So typically, the people who win those stuff are in those top sections.
Yeah, that pretty much they're already up there anyways.
Yeah. Oh, and also the player who won last year automatically gets an invite. So 6 people automatically get invites. Then it's basically how did you finish up the year? I kind of like the equivalent to NASCAR, where they do the cup points at the end. That's kind of what this is. And so this year we didn't have any nationals, so it was just a straight up points, and we went. So you can look to see who was the top dog for the season. And that person got an invite, and then all the way on down. So now so that's how you get the invite. The one thing about Masters is it's not a where you just say, oh, bring a 100-point army and we'll just slug it out. There's always some type of twist, okay? And every year, the Battlefront used to have a person in this position that would come up, run tournaments, run the Nationals, run the Masters, and they came up with the twist. Well, with COVID and the way that things goes, that position is, no longer, I wouldn't say not needed, but not as important today because there's no tournaments to go to or to run. So it kind of fell back on what they did is they kind of defaulted to battle rankings, and we are kind of carrying that water right now. So for Team Yankee, I TO the Team Yankee Masters, so I come up with the format. So that's pretty easy. But I'm planning to play this year, So yeah, it doesn't make sense for me to come up with
Joe is the number one ranked guy in America right now.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, I had a very, very strong finish this year. You know, I won three of my 4 tournaments right at the end. Even though I had a really good score going in, but I just, you know, I was hitting on all cylinders. I might have peaked too soon.
Yeah, well, we covered that won the 2 of the GenCon events. We covered that earlier in the podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the NashCon. So this year's format, the Battlefront and I were discussing about who can we get to do the format. And we're like, well, you know what? The name got batted around, so I asked Dave Griffin. I said, Dave, would you come out of retirement? Because he used to work at Battlefront. He used to be the guy that ran a bunch of nationals and a bunch of masters. And I said, would you come out of retirement and come up with something? He said, sure. And then a couple on my show, which is every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, I do a video cast, Battle Rankings Live. So you can catch it at Battle Rankings on Facebook or YouTube, BATLERANKINGS. There we go. And you can catch the shows there. Just letting everyone know. And so I asked Dave, can you come up with something? He said, sure. I invited him on the show for the big reveal, and this is the mess he came up with. And when I say mess, I mean that in a loving way. It's 84 points mid-war, and everyone needs to come up with 6 lists. Each list has to have 4 unique platoons between all the other lists. All right. Now, Ed, I know you're scratching your head. I came, Tom Pye could share this with you. I came up with something. It's a visual. I actually came up with 6 U.S. lists, and then I said, okay, here's 6 individual lists, and here's all unique differences between them. So what counts as unique? All right. Any card change. So if you have a card, like say one formation uses Lucky, the other one uses Pioneers. Okay. Since you change cards, you get 1 point. Now the caveat about cards is no matter how many cards you use or change, it's only 1 point. So that would prevent people from creating an 80-point list with 4 different 1-point cards, right? That'd be kind of lame. So no matter how many cards you switch out, it's only 1 point. If you change formations, so you say you had we'll go with the U.S. here again, a Sherman list and a armored rifle list, you would get 1 point because it's a different formation. So far, if you change a card and change a formation, you're already halfway there. You got 2. And then what is, if you did a Sherman list and an armored rifle list, just don't have any Shermans or armored cars in the other list. Don't have any Shermans in the armored cars or the armored rifles, sorry. And don't have any armored rifles in your Sherman list. Well, right there's another one. Then you just got to figure out what that other one is, right? I think in my example, I have a rifle platoon with the Shermans, and the armored rifles don't have a rifle platoon. So there's 4 differences right there, for example. So you can work it out. Now, the tricky thing is it's 6 lists. But the idea is that And by the way, I've been doing a lot of thinking and calculating on this. You'll have one or two really good, solid lists, and your other four will be a little bit weaker than you're normally used to playing with, and that's by design. Now you're saying, go ahead, see, Joe, but I got 6 lists. What's that all about? Well, Ed, I will tell you. What happens is, if you win a game, you get 6, 7, or 8 points. Whatever list you won that game with, it gets removed from your pile. It's no longer an option. So theoretically, if you run the table, you'd be playing all your lists at least once. If you lost, you still get to play at the list. If you
play best list every time.
So, yeah, you
lose it all the way to the end.
I'll be playing that one loser list the whole time.
Right. Well, the thing is, it's not 21st. You can't do 21st Panzers because it's mid-war.
Hey, they're gonna win one day.
Okay. No, yeah. Anyway, it's not a bad list. It's just it's a little tough. So back to this. So the order of things is going to go. You get your matchup. You get assigned your table, and then what you do is you discuss the terrain, and then you look at your opponent's list, and they look at yours. Then you'll make a decision what you want to run. You'll secretly put it down, and once you both have it, you both revealed what list you picked. Now here's a second little twist. Whoever's lower in victory points, okay? So this won't happen in the first round, but say in the second, someone has 8 points and someone has 6, and they got matched up for some reason. The person that has 6 has 10 seconds to change their list to maybe optimize against the list that a person with the 8 pulled. Okay.
Oh.
So you get to change it up, but you only have 10 seconds. Now, once you have that, then it's just the normal game. Is you put down your stance. By the way, there's no limit on stance. Didn't think there needed to be because everyone's gonna be playing something different. So you're probably
you'll
just
be running tank and infantry and mech. You running the gamut with this one.
Right.
Yeah. So there's the thing with your list. So you can play different lists. What you do is try to match up. See how you match up against the other player. You put it out there. You play. You win. That list gets tossed, and then as you win, you have less and less options going forward. So, like I said, if you're running the tables. Your choice of what you're going to put on the table in the 6th game is going to be real easy. So that's the idea there. So those are the little nuances. Now, we put a tournament pack together, and that kind of has a lot more of the details. I'm kind of glossing over. It also has examples, what are differences and whatnot.
Yeah. It was a good
I did get 2 What's that?
I said it was a good breakdown. And that you also posted on your last webcast some pretty good visuals and graphics. So those help explain everything.
I did get 2 individuals. Patrick, I really has a hard name. It's a difficult last name to say for me. He's in Minnesota. He's going to be checking the list along with.
Berkeley.
Scott, Berkeley, and Scott Atchison. Scott in Alabama. I'm butchering names here. Those two,
that's Ed's job.
They never met before, but they're working together. They're both going to check all the lists and see to make sure that the combinations are there. Then they'll confer with each other if they have a question. And then if they really don't know, they'll go to Dave. So that we have list checkers. So yeah, everything's just lining on up. So now that we have all that, you know what was the last piece? Was to get players.
Yeah. Who's going to this thing,
So
Joe?
I sent out invites, and I pretty much got yeses back. And so you want me to go about? You want me to name who has said that they're going to attend?
Yeah. I mean, I've got the list posted on the that Ed and I have on our screens right now of the top 16, but not all the top 16 can always go. So I was curious who actually is going.
I actually have a even in the people at the top 16, I could tell you who's not going to be there. So let me go through about who's confirmed.
All right.
Okay. The number one player for the season, Joe Lewis. He says he has humbly accepted, and he will show up and just to see how the game's played. Chris Fretz is a yes. Chris Jackson.
Number 2.
Yeah. Then so both Chris's. James Copeland.
Okay.
Now what's is great? I'm going to tell you, William Brown. It's his first year. He's never attended Masters before.
Yeah.
And then Preston.
My money. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, Preston
I was
Jacob.
Say, yeah.
Yeah, Preston Jacob. This is his first time, I believe. John Mayer, not his first time. Keith Gilmore will be there.
Great.
James Best has accepted. Michael Cron from Minnesota, our which turns out to be our only juvenile. Great kid. Loves Italians, just by the way.
Yeah.
Here's and by the way, it's his first time. Here's a guy that I think has been to a Masters before. Tom Burgess.
Yay.
Yay.
Number 16.
Yeah. Igor Trotskin.
Oh, coming out from California.
I'll say Igor's last name. California. Yeah, it's his first time.
Good.
Tyson Swaggart. Now we're going to the alternates. So Tyson Swaggart, he said yes. That's his first time. Andrew Hobson, he will be attending.
Yeah, excellent.
James Best. Yeah, James Best Jr. He said. John. I don't know if the D is silent. DZIUBEK.
John Zubek.
Zubek.
Yeah, I think it's or maybe Zubek. I don't know. I googled it once because we had mentioned him in previous podcast, and I think it's Polish. It's either Zubek or Zubek, but the D is silent.
Zubek.
Okay. He has accepted. And Nathan Cron, the father of Michael, he also has accepted. Well, good. So that's 7. We're at 17 players. So I need an 18th. So Ed Hall, congratulations. You are invited to play Masters.
Well, you got to dig deep to dig up some of that crap, huh? Yeah, look at that. And look what pops up, my head. All right. Okay, well, I'll accept if the slot's open.
Yeah, it is there for you, Ed, to enjoy.
Yeah, so Ed, that's what Joe's phone call was about earlier today. And when he told me what it's about, I was like, hey, don't come on board, man. We'll get you to go over Masters, and you can invite him on air. So congratulations,
okay.
buddy.
Oh, that's great. I'll accept. Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
good. That means I have a driver.
Ed, yeah, I know how hard you were trying to get in and everything, and I was watching it go down and down and down.
It wasn't getting better.
Well, we ran our market garden event in hopes that Ed would get a big score out of that one, because all he needed was one good score to get up in the range to replace one of his lower ones. And he was like third to last out of our 12-player event
third to last.
on the market garden. So
I played
so
British
that might help him.
Paratroopers for the first time. You know, that was my first time playing them, and I did terrible.
All those guys that couldn't make it, sorry for you, but hey, you got a good guy in there because of it.
Well,
thank you.
I asked Jim McKinney, and he couldn't attend, but I let him know that his spot was going to go to you, Ed, and he was very happy for you. So he's the first person to say, "Tell Ed congratulations."
Yeah.
So you owe Jim McKinney some money.
Info at Cincicon there. I might see him there.
So Ed, I'm going to shoot you off a packet right after this. If you can let me know your shirt size so I can get the shirt orders in.
Yep.
Okay. And then we'll
Sounds
get that. And so, and with that, we have, I'm going to add it up here. 7 of the 18 are first-time attendees.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's cool.
So,
yeah, good to have some new opportunity. And it's been a weird year, but we were commenting earlier on how many events. The last month we had 19 Flames of War tournaments and 5 Team Yankee tournaments. So there was a lot of effort to get qualified at the end, all across the country, from Delaware all the way out to California. So it's still a goal that can be attained, but this has been a different year to make it because there were no nationals. So it was just events that would push up there, and I'm glad to see we got some people who have not had a chance to go before to go now. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, this October it's turning out to be a lot busier than normal Octobers, because you hit October and it usually just dies, and it's like every weekend there's something going on.
Oh yeah. The 1st, 2nd, 10th, 16th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 23rd. I mean, there's a ton of events on there. Yep, indeed. Yep. Yeah, we're excited. Good to see all that activity going. Hopefully the COVID, plateauing now for the Delta. Apparently, hopefully people are still, being precautious and are taking precautions. And but it's good to see people still able to get these gaming events in and being able to, kind of strive for a goal. And then next year, hopefully we'll have nationals, the Adepticon, Historicon, and Las Vegas Open. Would that be the only 3 nationals? Or are there other ones? Don't they occasionally do a Southern national?
It's the 3 that they have on the books. Remember, they always were trying to find a home for the Southern.
Yeah, I thought they want that one to be floating every year to rotate around locations.
Yeah, so they haven't picked a place yet.
Yeah, Ed's going to recommend the Skoda Fest.
It's only 10 minutes from my mom's house.
Indeed. Well, cool, Joe. Well, thanks for chiming in to break down the Masters, the roster and the event and how it's organized and the history. That was very informative. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and especially now that Ed gets to go. That will be make it a fun event. Well, and if you didn't know, even though Ed has been sucking at his last several events, he gets like best sport like almost every time now. So he'll be a great ad.
People just love beating the hell out of him.
We will be live streaming a table. We'll pick a table at Masters, live streaming every game, all 6 rounds of that. We'll have a camera over the table, and then we'll be giving some updates during it, which will be battle rankings. We've been doing a couple. We tried it last year when we were Hard Knocks game. Was a little interesting. So we improved our equipment. We did it at Team Yankee this past one, and that turned out to be pretty good. So well. You could be watching some Saturday and Sunday, and then of course if you can't watch it, there'll be you could catch it in the replay if you go to Battle Rankings, YouTube or Facebook, which they'll be there for watch.
Well, here's my recommendation for you, Joe. Put Ed on that camera table the whole time. Because if you want to see somebody who just truly enjoys the game and always has a good time, no matter how the dice are falling or how things are going, it's Ed Hall. And that would be infectious for the community out there to just see somebody just having a great time with their dice.
Yeah.
Well, no matter where you have the camera, if it's not on my table, you're going to hear me anyway.
Yeah, you'll hear him. He'll be 2 tables over. You'll hear him. Yeah, he and Charlie Clay, they get a little loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Indeed. Well, cool. All right. Well, I guess that about wraps it up. Anything else you want to add, Ed?
Yeah, I think we need to contact our buddies up in New England and see if they can run a tournament so you and I can go up there and visit them and possibly join them at their tournament. Make it a trip up to New England, maybe possible business trip and see if the colleges want to up there. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Joe, and thanks for all you do, Joe, with battle rankings and your weekly video cast. Those are great and informative. I don't always watch them live, but I often, if I don't watch them live, I'll pick it up in reruns. Those have been helpful and informative. I've enjoyed them all. And thanks for helping to keep the battle rankings site, not just the rankings themselves, but all the wealth of information that you make, for one-stop shopping, all the lessons from the fronts, the scenario packs, the mission packs, all that. Anything you're looking for Flames of War or Team Yankee, you will find on battle rankings. And you can also find stuff on NoDiceNoGlory.com. We have forums there. We put information, you can join those forums and have little, ask questions, put feedback, and give us feedback. Let us know how the show is going, what we need to do better. Hopefully we went through the past events a little bit quicker this time. Hopefully that's the way you'd like to hear it. If not, you wanted the more in-depth breakdown and list discussions from those, and we can go back to that. But this was a big episode, and we appreciate you hanging with us if you made it this far. And hopefully in November, we'll have our podcast then might have a Masters recap. That'd be nice, right? So have a little recap on how things went and which set of lists rose to mediocrity with all these variations that we got. Very cool. All right. Well, Ed, Joe, anything else?
That's good.
No, just keep playing and turning in your tournaments and keep watching. Battle rankings. Right now, we're going through all the scenarios, the missions, bringing an expert in and talking about various missions and their tips. We'll call them pro tips. What how to set up, what to expect, how to attack. That's like Ed. Remember when we talked? I said we played counterattack. And I said, Ed, did you watch my episode on counterattack? And you said, no.
No.
And what happened, Ed? What happened?
The Joe said if you did, you wouldn't be getting your butt kicked.
I know it. I got smashed. Was it 3 turns, Joe, and it was over?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, that's not uncommon for counterattack. The attacker winning by turn 3 is not uncommon.
Ed was attacking, no recon.
Oh, he was. Oh,
he was attacking, no recon.
No recon though. Yeah, I did not bring recon.
Okay. Well, good. Well, appreciate everybody, and Ed, Joe, thanks for being on board, and we'll see you all next month, and maybe we'll have the Bulge German book to review by then too. We'll look forward to that. So, Ed, why don't you close us out?
All right, everybody. Enjoy 70 and have fun with the game system, and keep those reports coming. If you're doing anything special, let Tom and I know so we can put it on the air. And we're glad we got additional fans that we didn't know about up in New England. So very happy to hear about that. So good luck, have fun, be safe.